Hello, hello.
Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah, all the audio listeners got that.
Oh, well, all right. Cool. Well, anyway, the preferred choice is Sioux City Sarsaparilla.
Yeah.
But Bundaberg is probably
A close second.
probably a higher quality.
Oh, okay.
But
It's from Australia though, bro. It's
good.
It's got to be it's craft brewed over 3 days.
Yeah, see? That's fine. Brewed. It's not just some root beer flavor. It's actual root beer.
It's all good. You got the bars over there on the right?
Yeah.
All right, we're good. Oliver PecK, man.
Well, thanks for having me.
Dude, thank you for coming, man. Like, you're by far the second or third most famous. You're definitely the most known person I've ever had on this podcast, especially outside of the motorcycle industry. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
You got a great place here, man.
It's got some swag. It's got some style coming. It's getting there. You feel proper? Like,
I know.
this is almost like the Joe Rogan
I
experience.
feel like this is it's a real table.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's particle board though.
It's
It's
real
just-
particle
It's
board.
laminate.
Yeah.
We Saxon over here. He actually helped me build this room.
It looks great.
We spent a winter about 2 years ago, just like fuck it, let's build a studio.
Just don't look too close.
Yeah, there's big pieces of wood to help the cracks that we couldn't fit the drywall perfectly. Real quick, but no man.
Well, the last thing I want to do is drywall, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's the only thing that we paid someone to do was when we hung the drywall. We paid someone to texture it
Yeah.
and do the tape and bed, and that shit was not ideal. But no, man, I appreciate it. Like, I've known of you for a long time, especially growing up here in Dallas and being a tattoo collector of some sort. You hear your name, growing up. So I didn't know you were into motorcycles until probably, you want to know when it was? I met Kenny from Shopper Supply, and I saw you at the Southern Throwdown pre-party in 2016. And I was like, what the fuck? Isn't he the guy from the TV show? And all this other shit that everybody knows about you from all the years. I was like, God, he's into bikes? I wasn't very versed in the chopper culture at the time, so I didn't know about so many people, and I started going down YouTube rabbit holes and found out how much involved you are in the motorcycle industry for a long time now. So
Yeah, I was more into just stock classic bikes than choppers to begin with.
Yeah.
And now I'm still kind of more into stock bikes more than anything. I've got a few choppers and a shitload of stock bikes.
what do you think the reason behind that is?
I just like. I'm getting old.
Mm-hmm.
The older you get, the more you like older shit, I guess. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I just like original shit, like original paint. I like, you know what I mean? Like to have a real, so once you get a bike that's close and then you get hooked on restoring or get hooked on putting it back to original, it's way more exciting than building a chopper. To me,
Well, you might have a more definitive vision in your head of what it's supposed to look like.
Well, it's a lot harder
Yeah.
to take a bike and make it 100% original. It is hard. You look for parts you go to swap meets for years looking for parts. When you're building a chopper, you can just put anything on it.
Yeah, just fuck it. I found this knob.
Yeah. But I like riding any kind of motorcycle. I rode sport bikes as a kid, and I thought, and then once I got a Harley Davidson, then I rode Triumphs for a long time. Then once I got a Harley Davidson, I was like, oh, this is a real motorcycle now.
Yeah, I've never been able to put that into words. Like when people talk about, especially with the Indian coming out over the last couple of years and making a push, it's like everybody wants you to have some kind of magic phrase that like really encapsulates, if that's a word. I don't think it is. I feel like it is.
It's close to a word.
It's close to a word. It's just fucking root beer, man. It's like it really kind of captures the idea of what it's like to ride a Harley. You know what I mean? And even I had to put my friend on Front Street. He bought one of those new Pan Americas, and he rode it, and he was telling us how badass and fast it was, but he misses what a Harley feels like.
Yeah.
And he's already kind of on the fence with selling it.
Well, just to touch on that topic for a second, man. I was out in Milwaukee for I think it was the 115th anniversary deal. And I was out there tattooing for Sailor Jerry brand, and I was doing all this stuff. And they had this guy that had come to that event, and he was a writer for some magazine, I can't remember, some New York magazine, and he was not a motorcycle rider. And he came out there, and his whole plan was to figure out what was up with Harley Davidson. 150th anniversary, all these people come from all over the world, ride the motorcycle around, and he was like, the whole story he was writing was to, I guess, find out what the hype was, you know? And so he did an interview with him, and that was the same thing. He's like, what is it about? I was like, man, it's just, you can't explain it.
Yeah.
But when you're riding, like I rode motorcycles since I was a kid, dirt bikes, mini bikes, sport bikes, Triumphs, and then I got on a Harley Davidson, and it just, the way it is.
Yeah.
It's a street bike, big bike, a heavy bike, a cruiser bike, a comfortable bike, you know what I mean? Not just some little, you know, things can be fast and not comfortable, but, and I was like, there's no words to describe it. And so the end of the whole weekend, he came back, and he's like, I don't have any, and at the end of the article, he's like, I don't have words to describe how I feel.
That's probably like the best way you can, like, the best kind of like way your brand can be marketed.
And he
like,
was like, everybody I talked to said, I don't have words to describe what it is about being on this open road. And he did this ride. They went out of Milwaukee and they got him on a bike, and they rode out through the whatever, and they came back, and he's like, now I know what it is, but I just like everybody interviewed, there's not words to describe it. Something about
it just feels a certain way, and it's like almost like if you take certain elements away from it, it could lack that feeling again. Even though the brand, the bar and shield's still on it, like it, if the frame was made out of aluminum, I don't know if it would feel the same anymore. How do you feel about Harley going more water cooled and shit like that? Like,
I just bought a brand new 2021.
What'd you get?
I got that 2021 Electric Glide Standard.
That one's got a different type of water cool in it, though.
But I mean, it's a runner.
Yeah.
I've only ridden it. I literally just got it, had it for 2 days, rode to Colorado and back. And I mean, I rode home from Colorado 850 miles in one day. Just
yeah.
And it's, I mean, I love it.
You're not doing that on a chopper.
I love it. I mean, I like any kind of motorcycle as long as it's Harley Davidson. But as far as like chopper or new bike or bagger or super glide or whatever, you know what I mean? But some people only like FXR. Some people only like Dyna. Some people only want choppers. Some people only want shovel heads. Some people only want pan heads. So, you know, I got pan heads, shovel heads, Evos, twin cams, knuckle heads, baggers, you know, whatever. And I like new bikes.
Yeah.
You know, I got a couple new bikes. I've had new bikes for the last 15 years because I want to get on it and go ride to New York, or get on it and ride to Florida, get out and ride to California or whatever. And when I get on a chopper and go for a chopper ride with everybody, it's like it takes 8 hours to ride to Austin. You got 6 people on choppers. It's gonna take a while. Every gas stop is an hour and 15 minutes. You know what I mean? So
someone's got to change your points out and shit.
It's a different thing, man. I mean, I love it all.
Yeah.
But some people that only ride old bikes, they're like, "Oh, you got that new bullshit." But I like new bikes.
Yeah, I can see that. I've always said there's an experience when every type of Harley, right? If you were doing the FXR thing, there's a vibe in there. There's an experience to be had. There's an experience to be had on the kick-only bike, you know, those type of things. So,
I mean, I got an FXR and I love it.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be my only motorcycle.
You hit the nail on the head with the traveling thing. Like, if you have the time to do it on the FXR or on you know, a kick bike or something like that, then by all means do it. It's probably going to be a great experience. But, you know, when you have a lot of shit going on, that button to start it and
200-mile gas range on one tank, and
it shit just makes the travel aspect a lot better. You know what I mean? So I can't not be without a bagger. I do too much traveling. You know what I mean? I'm hoping that when I get older than I already am, then I'll be able to take a week and a half to get somewhere across country instead of, all right, we got to go to New York, so we're going to be there in 2 days. That kind of shit. You're not doing that on a fucking chopper. That you probably have to change. You have to rebuild the motor on the way up there.
Yeah, years ago I was up tattooing in Plymouth, Massachusetts with my buddy Forrest Cavaco. He's got a shop up there, and he's got a couple bikes. He's got an Ian and Larry bike. He's got he's got a Chevrolet. He's got a couple baggers, and we went for a ride just around beautiful roads up there. And he's like, I'll ride the Electric Glide. So I rode that, and I was like, well, I'll try it. You know, this isn't my style of bike. I rode it around for the day, got home, bought one.
Yeah.
I was like, sold, getting a bagger.
It's a fucking vibe, man. It's awesome.
But
The first one I ever rode was Gary's Electric Glide. He still had that one with all that's covered in airbrush, little street glide.
oh yeah,
That's got like the clown eyes on the back and everything with the lights and
I
shit.
think he still has it.
Yeah, that was the first bagger I ever rode, and I felt cool as fuck riding that thing down the road. I was like 23 or 22 years old. I was still riding sport bikes at the time, but man, it's a vibe, man. You know, riding that type of stuff. I never got to ride like a chopper in that era when we started painting them back in the day. You know, I was a sport bike guy all through the 2000s until Harley bit me in the ass probably in 2010, honestly. So since then, it's plus I got a belly now, and
I
it
feel
doesn't
like it's
fit.
part of you grow up, man. You know,
Yeah,
at
you
some
wanna do
point,
different
when
things
you're
on
a kid,
bikes.
you got a mini bike,
Yeah.
and then you get a YZ80. You know what I mean? Still like a mini bike, but the YZ80 is bad as a bone.
Yeah.
You know, but then you get a street bike, then you get a sport bike, then you get this bike. You know, then
I feel like I'd run out of excitement on certain bikes that were more designed. Like sport bikes are kind of more, they're not as modular as a Harley where you can do whatever you want to do on a Harley. Like there's no direction you can't take a Harley, right? Whether you want to build a show bike, a travel bike, a stunt bike, a fucking, you know, the many different genres and styles of ways you can build it. On sport bikes, they're very linear. Like you can race it, wheelie it, or race it in a different way, which is drag race. And you could do show bikes too, but it just never quite had the thumbs up from the older generation the way that having a cool Harley would. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just fell in love with it, man. And then, yeah, it goes hand in hand with the lifestyle of, you know, when you start painting bikes, you know, there's more money in Harleys, more people paint them, more people wreck sport bikes.
yeah. Well,
I don't know, man. What was it like? You know, there's plenty of videos, interviews of you on the internet, and I had to go through some of that to basically build like some kind of substance here for me to talk about your previous motorcycle life, whatever. But you know, you started tattooing back in what, '89, something like that.
well, I did the first couple of tattoos, like hand poke style on myself and some friends when I was in high school. So
Yeah,
89, but that didn't really count. It's like a tattoo career.
yeah, yeah.
You know, and then after I got out of high school, and me and my friends run drugs, we bought some tattoo equipment and tattooed each other up with some some partial homemade equipment and some mail order equipment. But then in 91 is when I kind of like
Took it serious.
got out of jail and said, I'm going to try to be a tattoo artist.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yeah, I remember you apprenticed for, what was the guy's name here in Dallas?
a guy named Richard Stell.
Is he
I
still around?
No, he passed away a couple years ago.
Okay.
But he moved to, I was working at I was working at a small shop, and then he moved to town and opened up Paradise Tattoo. And he was like the first really good tattooer to open a shop in Dallas. That wasn't just like, we had tattoo shops in Dallas, but they were like, you know, your typical just sleazy,
Yeah, yeah.
just regular old tat shop where you're just going to go in and pick something off the wall. But Richard Stell was like the first like real world-class tattooer that came in and opened a shop, and it just blew anybody that knew anything about tattooing was blown away when they
So that
saw
started in the
Richard's tattoos.
90s because it felt like for a long time it was like most of the shops around Dallas-Fort Worth had that feeling of
Just
very
some-
linear, like off the wall, no
Yeah,
real
just
artists.
just some little smoke shop looking tattoo
Yeah,
shop, you
yeah.
know.
What was, you know, I hate to, it's probably the worst thing for guys like you that are in the tattoo industry, but when the whole TV culture came to the tattoo industry, like how was that for like you guys, like in general, like when they started coming around, you know what I
I
mean?
mean, most reality-based TV stuff is just, you know, not really a big fan of television in general.
Yeah.
I don't have a television at my house. I don't have time to watch television.
Yeah.
Me and my girlfriend, when we have time, we'll watch movies together and stuff. But just the idea of just coming home and getting stuck on a TV every day is just.
Yeah.
I
know
got a whole little story about how quick version. My my street I lived on in like 90 or 97 or 98, they redid all the electrical on the block, and so the cable company wasn't allowed to like get in and do anything until the electric company was finished. So it went without cable for however many months, and I just like, man, I haven't watched TV. And so when they fixed it, I was just like, no, I don't want it. I haven't had TV since, because there's always something better to do than just stare at television. And we're busy people, man. We always got stuff going on.
It feels better to kind of use that time to go do something. Or, I mean, when you're an artist, I mean, anytime you can actually make yourself draw or do something creative, it's much better. And it's sometimes, I don't know if you look at like all the art you do ever as work. You know what I mean? Sometimes like I just don't want to go draw. Like even though I can, even though it's part of my career, just it looks like work to me sometimes. And
I just keep it at the tat shop. I don't do it outside. I don't do anything tattoo related outside of tattoo shop. I don't draw at home. It's because it's like homework. So I didn't do homework when I was in high school. I'm damn sure not going to do it now.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But I draw at work. I draw when I'm in a tat shop. I draw for the customers. But when I'm not in the tattoo shop, I'm doing motorcycle stuff or event stuff or doing
you got plenty
travel
going on.
stuff, and I got crazy shit going on at my place always, trying to
You're still living here in Dallas, right? You
Yep.
still got that compound?
Yeah.
It's just wild. I've been in there once. Scott gave me a fucking tour one day.
Randy.
Yeah.
Chemical
you
Randy.
You guys call him Randy. I heard the story as to why. Wasn't it you printed something on his shirt?
Oh, no. That's just his name, man.
Okay, yeah.
Randy.
I heard. Chemical Randy.
Yeah, Chemical Randy, man.
One day I'll do this podcast.
Oh, he ain't done it yet?
No, he said he doesn't like the way he sounds. He said he feels like he sounds too, I guess his words were hillbilly.
Well, don't listen to yourself. Shit.
Yeah.
If I listened to myself, I wouldn't talk ever again.
Same thing. I can't listen back to these podcasts after I do them because I get too self-conscious of how I talk or whatever,
That don't matter.
Yeah, let's just fucking put it out there and run away.
Yeah, man. When the tattoo TV started, man, it was kind of a bittersweet deal. A lot of tattooers were anti and said, fuck this, you shouldn't be in our, don't blow up our spot or, put all this shit out there to the general public. But, it changed tattooing. It made tattooing more acceptable for one, because in the 90s, hand and neck tats, you were definitely not getting treated the same way. And now people that work at Target have hand and neck tattoos. So, it's the acceptability of tattooing has changed drastically, which means more people are getting tattooed, which means tattooers are busier, which means there's more tattoo shops, which means more people have the opportunity to be tattoo artists. There's in the 70s, there was like 200 tattooers in the country.
Yeah.
And now there's like 300 tattooers in Dallas.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? It is crazy. I had a shop in LA for a bunch of years, and there was, in Hollywood particularly, not West Hollywood, not North Hollywood, just Hollywood, small little area, there was like 400 tattoo shops.
Wow.
In like a neighborhood. Because Hollywood's not a city. Hollywood is like a neighborhood. It's a few square miles, 300-something tattoo shops.
That's
crazy.
insane.
On Hollywood Boulevard, there was like 30 in like a 5-block radius.
But it's kind of like, when the shows started happening, you could almost attribute, because that was like early 2000s-ish, you could see a big shift in like the skill level from in the late 2000s where people like...
Well, the accessibility to knowledge and the accessibility to information and the accessibility to how things are done is insane.
Yeah.
When you're learning to tattoo in the 70s, 80s, or even early 90s before the internet, like everything you learned had to be one-on-one from the one guy showing you at one at a time, and then you would wait every month for the tattoo magazine to come out to look through the tattoo magazine to find that one page where Chris Ravino had a paper in there so you could see what he did in the last, which he probably did it a year ago, but it took that long to get to print.
Yeah.
So you're way behind. Now, everybody sees what everybody does 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I can get on my phone and look at 100 tattoos done yesterday. And so, I mean, it's a lot of information. It's a lot of accessibility. It's a lot of, that translates into opportunity. So people now, been tattooing 3 years, are better than I was when I was tattooing 10 years. But it's an action-packed 3 years, you know? And also the amount of tattoos you're doing. Like, people that work for me at Elm Street are doing dozens of tattoos a day, you know? Hundreds of tattoos a month when you used to do 1 or 2 or 3 tattoos a day.
Yeah.
So that at that rate, how fast you learn is just expedited.
Yeah, that makes sense because I remember whenever, like, my very short stint, it's like the hurry up and wait game. Like, go to the shop and, you know, there's all these other things to do to occupy your mind all day long. It's like now it's like fucking I got this appointment. Yeah.
But the standard, when I first started tattooing, the standard rule was like you weren't really worth a fuck until you've been tattooing 5 years. That was kind of just the standard. Like somebody's only been tattooing 5 years or 4 years, 3 years, they're a beginner. You know what I mean? And it's like you don't charge the same. You're not allowed to do the same. You know, if you've been tattooing 3 years, you're the low guy in the shop. You do the simplest stuff that comes in, and it's a little bit cheaper per hour kind of deal. Now people have been tattooing 3 years are killer. Yeah. People tattooing 2-3 years, they're awesome. And they're booked up, and they got appointments. You know, and they have a specialty, and they have a style, and have their own art. You know. When do you think you shaped your style? You know, you're more traditional, correct? Yeah, when you start tattooing, you kind of just do whatever walks in the door. You know, at least when I started, you know, I was an employee of the business, and whatever came in the door, I had to do it. So you kind of just do whatever. And over the years of doing a bunch of tattoos, and then you try to do your own drawings. Once you get customers, they'll let you do what you want. You do your own drawings. You try to get your own style, or you try to figure out what you want to do. And with tattooing, you see it there's like a learning curve, which takes a little bit longer than something else. Like if you're doing something on paper, here's the finished product. That's what it is. That's what it's always going to be. But with a tattoo, you do something, and you think it looks great, and you see it a year later, and it's like, ooh, I fucked that up. Yeah. You know, 6 months ago, it looked fine. Yeah. Now it's washed out. It fell out. It blew out. It faded out. It didn't blend right. It's muddy. It bled together. You can't, you know, what used to be a face and now a smear. Yeah. You know, and so you're like, ooh, well, don't do that again. But you already did it 100 times since the last time you did it. Because there's 100 of those out there that and now you're going to see them years go by. And then once you've been tattooing 5 years, you see tattoos you did 5 years ago. And once you've been tattooing 10 years, you see tattoos you did 10 years ago. And you learn from yourself. Yeah. And as far as like tattooing goes, I tell people the biggest thing you learn from is from yourself. Like, look at what you did. Look at your past tattoos. A lot of people, you look at their portfolio, and it's just, like, full of, they did a tattoo, they took a photo of it, they put it in their portfolio. And it's the photo of the day they did it, so it looks like that. Now, when you see that person in real life, when they got that tattoo 3 years ago, that photo and that tattoo are way different. Yeah. So what you're selling people in this portfolio is bullshit. Makes sense. And so I tell people, I was like, number one rule, take all the photos out of your portfolio that are unhealed and put them in reference for yourself to look at. Yeah. Then find the tattoos you did, get a photo of them healed, put those in your portfolio. Because when you show somebody your work, you're like, this is what I do. This is what it's going to look like. This is what you can expect. But when you show them that photo of that brand new, fresh, wet, bloody, silky tattoo where the white looks super bright and every detail's crisp, that's what you're selling them. That's what they want. Then what you give them, they look at it 6 months later and they're like, this guy sucks. Yeah. But if you would have showed them the healed tattoo, that's what they expect. So, you know, you learn from yourself. You find your tattoos. You try to tattoo the same people. You see what works for you and what you're good at. Yeah. You know, a lot of people start off and they want a specialty right off the bat. They want to decide what their specialty is. But that's not how it works. When you're a kid, you start playing sports. And you play every sport. You play every game. You know what I mean? You play hopscotch. You play jump rope. You play hide and seek. You play baseball. You play soccer. As you get older, you try things, and then you get good at something. Some people want to be a skateboarder, and they're not good at it. Some people want to be, you know. Yeah, so you kind of got to see what you're good at and then follow that and work hard and do it. Yeah, when you've tried a lot of things that you're not good at then when you finally land on something that you feel a little bit competent at, then you work on it.
That's when you push that. Or like when it comes to styles, one of the things that we talk about with paint is we all kind of imitate the people that we're most influenced by other artists. And I think that when you like say if they're in love with your style and another couple of different styles, and all those come together and kind of form this one entity here that's influenced by all these different artists, right? So yeah, in paint though, we have to kind of like, I need to learn how to do that. And I need to figure out what kind of tape he used, how he did it, how he got those fades, how he did all this shit, right? And then you figure it out. You're like, cool, now I know how to do his style, but it's not mine yet. Oh, I like this guy over here. Let me try this stuff. And then you start taking elements that you learned from that job and this job, and then it starts to kind of shape who you are.
Yeah, it's like
as
any craft or any skill or any art, even welding, you know, or fabrication or metalwork or, you know, anything.
Anything creative, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna get, the more you do it, the more you're gonna repeat certain things, and the more you see your past work, you're gonna look at something. I'm sure you can look at a paint job you did 5 years and you'll be like, oh man.
Yeah. When you see, it's kind of like when you see it in person.
That didn't work out.
You see it in
or
person.
Or the person, somebody doesn't know, thinks it's great.
Yeah.
You know, but.
I want to sense like you probably, I don't know if tattooists do this, but do you tattoo or do you have like maybe if another tattoo artist sees your work, then you want them to be like, fuck, that dude's badass. I saw his healed version.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's how it used to be. Like there'd be, you know, well-known tattooers that would, you know, if you went to get tattooed by them and you had a tattoo from some other well-known tattooer next to it, they'd be like, oh man, I better do a good job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just more of like somebody who knows good work. You know you can't slack on it, you know. Some people just want their bike black, and all you got to do is just paint it black, you know. And then somebody comes in, and you know they had a bike painted by so and so. You know they're not gonna, you know, they want
just skip around. They want
something nice.
Yeah, that's great correlation because I can see that with tattooing. But yeah, like I said, you kind of like made yourself known with the traditional. You know, did you ever try any other styles? And
I did. Yeah, I did pretty much everything, man. I did black and gray. I did portraits, and I was, you know, I did. And once the point got where it wasn't really what I was, you know, I'm sitting here with my partner, you know, that I work next to every day, and he does great portraits. Somebody comes in and wants a portrait. I'm like, I can do it, but he can do it better. Why? You should just get it from him. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like you don't want to do something right next to somebody that's
better.
It's not as good, and so it's just you kind of just gravitate. So slowly, little by little, I took all the black and gray photos out of my portfolio, and I took this out of my portfolio. And then next thing you know, I have a whole portfolio of just traditional stuff. So people come in like this. If you like this, then I'm the guy for you.
Yeah.
You know, if you like that, then he's the guy for you. Can I do a dragon? Sure. But this guy does Japanese dragons all day, every day. You want a Japanese dragon, go to him. Because if I do it, all I'm going to do is copy one from something, you know? So you might as well get him to do it.
That makes sense, man.
And then the older you get, the less tolerant you get with things, and you don't want to do what you don't want to do, and you start seeing down this tunnel of I don't have that much time left, my hand's killing me, it hurts to tattoo, my eyes are going away, I can't see that well, so I'm going to struggle and fight and to do something I don't want to do. I'm just not going to do it anymore.
Yeah, makes sense.
So now I'm just like, I just do what I do.
I could attest to that because I don't feel old, but I'll be 40 next year, and to my kids that's old, to my younger self that's very fucking old, and I do the same thing. Like there's so many jobs that come through, phone calls every day, and it's like, man, that does not sound like fun. I know I can do it. I could probably do an okay job at it, but it's just not my style that I want to pursue. I don't really want that to be, you know what I mean? If someone's like
100%, man, I'm 50. I feel old as fuck. My hand hurts every day. So I'm going to do a tattoo. I'm giving you I'm giving it myself. I'm sacrificing my body for this goddamn craft.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do it for some shit I don't want to do. It's just, I mean, it's not to be harsh about it, but it's just what it is. If you want a tattoo by me, then you get the tattoos I do. If you want a tattoo that you want this specific tattoo, then you just get it from
whoever.
You know, some people want a tattoo for me, and that's the important part. Other people want this tattoo. So who does it is not that important. They want this.
Yeah.
They're not compromising on this, so they're going to go get it from
So
someone else.
that's kind of how things have started to evolve in the paint industry. We have people that just want a FASTLIFE helmet. You know, just like some people who just want a chemical candy paint job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No matter what it is. So that's the correlation across tattooing that I usually speak on a lot when I'm talking to customers. You know, when people like your style, they like the work you do, then yeah, they chase that, and not so much like I just want a flame job.
Yeah.
It's like I want one of Jason's flame jobs, or I want one of the Scott's flame jobs.
Well, that's the thing. You're gonna get the best work out of somebody if you're getting what they want to do. Mm-hmm. You know, and someone like Randy, like I'm sure he could do anything.
Yeah.
But if you just let him do it, it's gonna be the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I love what he does. You know, he painted a couple bikes for me, and one bike I was pretty particular on what I wanted, and he did a great job, but he hates it. You know, but I think it's great. But I was like, I don't want anything wild. Just whatever.
Yeah.
And it's killer. But the other bike, I was like, do whatever, and it's the shit. You know what I mean? It's great.
Yeah.
He fucking went wild. But
yeah, there's like I said, man.
If you just want something particular, anybody can do it.
And there's a lot of people coming up that need those opportunities. You know what I mean?
And that's what the people in the tattoo shop are for.
Yeah.
They're there to figure out their life and get going and do whatever tattoo walks in the door.
Yeah.
I already did all that. But I get people all the time like, I want this, you got to do it. I'm like, can't do it. It's on the list. They're like, what list? List of shit I don't do. I say that every day.
What That's awesome. That's exactly. I mean, growing up around tattoo shops, because my uncle did it in the '90s, so I was around it a lot. It just seemed like people were more blunt in there. Like when you got the whole Burger King sign, you know, have it your way, and people get used to that. And then you come around a tattoo industry, even in the '90s when
it's
it wasn't.
It's funny you said that, because Richard Stell. You come in Rich Stell's shop, you start mouthing off, he goes, "This ain't fucking Burger King." And he just, ain't fucking Burger King, man. No, the customer is always wrong. Always.
Yeah. They come here for the advice to get the right thing, right?
Oh, Richard was tough, man. He didn't fuck around.
Yeah, that's what it's. You go to a place, a professional place. You go there to. You don't go there to tell them what you know. Hey, I have a painter friend that knows what he's doing, but you know, so I know how this is supposed to go down or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you go to this place.
Oh, dude, tattooers, man. People come in with their own art all the time.
Yeah.
Or their cousin. My cousin's an artist. He drew this for me. I want to get this tattooed.
Yeah.
And you're like, there it is. There it is. That's another thing Richard would always say. Anybody's like, hey, what do you think of this? He would look at it and go, there it is. Didn't say good or bad. He just said, yep, there it is.
That's that thing we talked about. That's awesome.
Oh, man.
Yeah, just having like all the. I mean, a tattoo shop is usually a bunch of dudes that just stick off together too, and they're all friends. Not nowadays, but everybody's there, and they all have these inside jokes and these inside little things. And I'd imagine that there it is that one word you hear go off, and you're just like chuckling over there.
I can't wait to see that.
That's awesome, man.
A guy comes up. Another thing I fucking took from Richard is we would be at the bar, you know, and people come up, hey man, what do you think of this? You know, he's like, looks good in the dark. I said it last night. A guy comes up to me and he's like, hey man, what do you think of this tattoo? I was like, oh man, it looks great in the dark. In the conversation.
Yeah.
He's like, he said it looked great.
That's all I needed. Validation.
I mean, it was dark. I couldn't see shit. It looked good.
So
I mean, I could tell what it was. So there you go. Must be good.
When did you start getting into like? I mean, you've always been into bikes, obviously, like you were saying. But like, when did you start becoming like? I'm trying to figure out how the best way to say this. When was it when you started like with the shows and being involved in so much other aspects of the motorcycle scene?
I mean, well, this year Southern Throwdown is the 8th year. Mm-hmm. It would be the 9th.
Missed last year, right?
But 2020 is a wash. we tried like hell to have them in 2020, but they just would not let us.
Wouldn't even let you do it outside?
Oh.
Or were you still trying to do the bomb factory setup?
No, there was nothing. Yeah, Bomb Factory wasn't even open. Wasn't even.
Yeah, they started building that fucking.
They weren't even open at all. But yeah, so it would have been the 9th year, and before that, you know, I was a party to a few other shows. You know, I'm friends with the guys out in California that put on Born Free. Mm-hmm. I worked at a shop. All through the late 90s, I worked at a shop in Fullerton, California called Classic Tattoo. Mm-hmm. And I met a bunch of guys out there during that time. Dave Freston, Chopper Dave. I met all those guys and been friends. I was friends with them forever. And then, you know, just started going to swap meets. I always, you know, ever since I got out of high school, was going to swap meets, going to car swap meets. I always into Oldsmobiles and, you know, and back then Triumphs. So just always going to swap meets. And so then as soon as I got into Harley Davidson, going to swap meets, to just going to motorcycle shows or going to antique meets or whatever. And then I was kind of late to the game on joining the Antique Motorcycle Association, you know, the AMCA. I really wish I would have joined it earlier, but I didn't. I guess I didn't meet the right people to let me know what it was about, you know, because I had some old bikes. And I'd go to the swap meets and I'd see all the old guys, you know, but I just, but then, I don't know, maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, I bought a panhead from a guy that I met. It was this guy named Melton, super cool guy. He was an older dude. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'll sell you this panhead, but you got to join the AMCA. Yeah. And I was like, sure, why not? You know, and it turned out to be the coolest thing. You know, because you're in the, you know, I mean, there's perks, you know, like you get in free to the swap meets and you get hooked up on swap meet vendor spots, and you meet a lot of people. If you need a part for a panhead, you can just call. Yeah. And they'll call, and next thing you know, you got somebody on the line.
It's a big network.
And like, oh man, I know so-and-so up there. You know, it's pretty cool. And so got tied in with them, and we just started putting on the Fandango. You know, with the Cherokee chapter that I'm in, and just a bunch of great dudes, and they all love motorcycles, and it's just, you know, if you're gonna try to find old parts or put together old motorcycles, it's and of any kind, not just Harley Davidsons, but. So I wish I would have got into that a little sooner.
How long? When did you join that stuff? Like
it's probably been about 6 years ago.
6 years,
6 or so years ago. I bought that. Maybe 6 or 7. I bought that panhead. Okay. And met a bunch of really cool guys through it, and ended up meeting Kirk from Just Kickers, and he's like one of the guys in the AMCA that's like still likes choppers, and a bunch of the old guys only like certain things or whatever, and he's kind of got a bunch of cool shit going on, getting young kids and because even if you just ride a chopper, you're still riding an antique motorcycle. If you're riding a shovelhead or panhead or whatever. So I guess really, I was just riding. I mean, I rode a motorcycle to work my whole tattoo career. You know, as soon as I got out of high school, I was just riding a motorcycle every day. And that's my goal. Is just if it's, you know, unless it's snow on the ground or whatever.
When you're working out in California, though, like you kind of are around a lot of that type of culture. Do you feel like you brought any of that back here to Dallas at all? I mean, I know you probably wouldn't want to say it was all like but you have influence. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I just, out in California, everybody was just, I didn't really meet too many antique motorcycle people out there. Yeah. But I always had a motorcycle. As soon as I started working out there, I took a motorcycle and left it out there, so I'd always have a motorcycle to get around. Because getting around out there in a car is terrible.
Yeah, it's the worst.
To get anywhere in and out of LA or Hollywood in a car is miserable. So you get on a motorcycle and you just zip right out. It is crazy out there, and the traffic's crazy out there, and people are like, oh man, I can't believe you ride a motorcycle out there. And I was like, dude, I can't believe you're not on a motorcycle out here. Yeah. I would lose my mind sitting on the 5, doing 3 miles an hour for an hour and a half.
To go 2 exits. Yeah, it's a nightmare. But being on a bike out there, it's like a commute to point A to point B could be dude, it's a crazy experience. Usually you're crossing over some type of little.
Oh, you're almost getting killed every minute.
There's some crazy shit going on. I love it out there. My wife's from there, so we're there quite a bit. But every time I get a chance, I'll have her fly and I'll ride out there, and then we just kind of go around that way. But no, I just wonder, like, because when the whole vintage chopper thing kind of made I wouldn't say a resurgence, but when it started gaining a lot of popularity.
Oh, it made a huge resurgence. You know, right? Born Free, I think Born Free pretty much kicked it off because this is the 12th year of Born Free. In the first year of Born Free, I knew some people that were in on it, and I knew Max Schaff from skateboarding.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Chopper Dave from meeting him at the tap shop out there. I knew a bunch of people in that scene. And so the first 3 years of Born Free were in Long Beach.
Yeah, it's the parking lot, right?
Yeah, I think it was 3 years. First 3 maybe. But it was the same weekend as the tattoo convention in Long Beach. It was on the Queen Mary, the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were like, oh man, they're doing a chopper show. So we got up early in the morning before the tattoo convention started, went to Born Free, hung out, and it was cool. But it was like a 2-hour thing.
Yeah.
Like you could go hang out for 2 hours, see all the bikes, say hi to everybody, blah, blah. I was like, all right, we're going to work now. And we go to go to the tat convention. Now Born Free is like a whole big, long, badass weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think if you like motorcycles, you'll love it. Some people, I don't go all the way up to California to stand around in some parking lot. Dude, it's not standing around a parking lot. It's a cool event. It's a lot of great people. I mean, cool vendors. I'd rather go there than go to the mall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's killer, man. It's a great show. The people that put it on are genuine. The people that are involved are great. All the people that go there every year, all the people that vend there every year, the bikes that show up there, the builders they build some of the coolest shit, some of the craziest shit. This year, there was some crazy shit. I was just like, what is that thing? And then you look at how nice all the work is, but you're like, show bike
shit. Did somebody build like a toy box to put their bike in up there?
Yeah,
that shit was
cool.
Wild looking. Like it had a
plexiglass. It looked like a model.
Yeah.
Like a big box.
Yeah.
The bike chopper was inside there. That's pretty cool. It's always cool shit. You know? So we started, me and my buddy Mike DeLoach and Kirk from Just Kickers and Jim from Jim Chopper in Fort Worth. Back when he was building bikes, and the guys from Lucky 7. We kind of just all said, man, we need to have a show in Dallas.
Yeah.
So we just put together the Southern Throwdown, and we just did it in the parking lot in Deep Ellum, and it was just one day. Everybody just show up, and it was from that first year. You would have never thought it would have been taken off such a big thing, because it was literally. It was like 104 fucking degrees on a parking lot on Elm Street, and it was just like, it was just a sweat fest, and there was like maybe 30 bikes there, but it was super cool, It was it's one of those things that just starts small, but everybody had a good time, and then
kept coming back,
and then just so.
When were you doing bands at first, or did y'all even do bands?
We had. The first year we had our little tattoo event, the same, because we put on like a tattoo event.
Yeah.
And we had some bands playing down the street at, I think they were playing it in the trees at 3 Links, which might have been called the Grange at the time. Mm-hmm. And we just had the bike show at one end, and then the tattooing going on down the tattooing was going on down at, which building they just tore down, which is the Profit Bar, the Door, the Great.
Yeah. They used to be some good concerts in there.
So that's pretty cool. And then it just kind of went from there. We after a couple of years, it kind of got people to start bringing their bikes from further away. And
it's usually at the end of September, which is my birthday time. So every year I'd use it as an excuse to get all the homies coming from out of town and kind of converge on Dallas, and we just spend the whole weekend partying for my birthday and Southern Throwdown. So
as soon as we got it inside the Bomb Factory, it was killer, man.
I never went to one that wasn't in Bomb Factory, so I think Bomb Factory twice. I think the last year, think you had Cole Freeman out there jumping on
That was like not the last one, the one before last.
Okay.
So probably 18.
Yeah, it's probably. Yeah, I think might have been something
Cole
like
jumped on 18. Yeah.
that. Yeah. Then my wife was working at Bonafide, the barbershop.
Yeah, with Omar.
And Omar and them.
Yeah.
But they had a booth in there. It wasn't the last one though, was it?
They had one every time.
Every time, okay, yeah. That's
because
cool.
Omar was part of the original Lucky
Lucky
Seven
Seven,
crew that
yeah.
started putting it on with me, and it was me and Quigley from Dream Machines, and just everybody that we were friends with, because we would all go hang out at Lucky Seven on Wednesday night, and we'd always go ride every week, and we would do stuff, and so it's just. It wasn't anybody it's still not any one person's show. It's like our show. It's everybody's show.
Yeah.
It's just like.
Makes sense.
And it's free to get in. It's, you know what I mean? It's just like, I think that was the big thing that really kicked it off once we got inside Bomb Factory, that it was still free, and it attracted a lot of people that were not even there for motorcycles. They were just there to see a band play for free, or there to go walk around because it was free.
There was always good. There was good vendors there though. So you walk in,
everything, great food, great vendors, great bands, great motorcycles. It's just, nobody's making any money on it. Yeah. But that's not the goal. Where nobody's trying to make money on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's great. But speaking of that, I mean, the big news is we're moving it this year to a big outdoor all weekend camp out. Mm-hmm. So it'll be more like that real, motorcycle show where people can come out and camp, and there's rides. Because the constriction of being in Deep Ellum is that you got to load your bike in the building. You're building your bike's stuck in there all day. It's like, it is cool to be able to just hang out.
Yeah, inside.
And relax. But, this way, I don't think we'll get as many people out there, because you're not going to get the people that are just in Deep Ellum already, just walking through a free show. Mm-hmm. But the people that do come, I think, are gonna really love it.
They're coming there to stay the weekend.
You can camp. You can get a cabin. You can bring your RV. We're going to do some rides all around the great two-lane roads like me and you were talking about earlier today, or just a little bit ago. And I think this will be really be able to grow into something. Mm-hmm. We've already got a ton of our friends from different parts of the country that are have seen what's going on with the Yellow Rose Canyon. Mm-hmm. Big, beautiful property. You've been out there. Perfect for something like this.
It's got to, Scott probably knows all the history behind it. I think you do too now, since you're owner of it. But the place is massive. And, I mean, just the way it's shaped with the dish and the stage at the bottom. I mean, that's just one aspect of this place. And in the many different ways it could be shaped in some – it's already badass. The cabin thing, looking over into the bowl type vibe. I mean, that's the way to go. In my opinion, if you're going to go, you got to go hard and get a cabin.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know anything about it, man, just look up Yellow Rose Canyon. And there's a website, yellowrosecanyon.com. We just took it over, me and a couple of partners, and we've had a couple concerts out there. And it's just, last night we had a 9/11 benefit for first responders, and it was beautiful. Beautiful night. Crescent moon, big bright red.
We were there for that last event. The moon
almost
was
full
badass.
moon.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful night. It was cool breeze, great bands playing. Matt Hillier played and totally killed it. Mm-hmm. We raised some money for Henderson local first responder people, and we got a lot of donations from the town to stuff for a raffle. I mean, everything was great. It went smooth. It was beautiful. But it's still a small event. I think Southern Thrill is going to be the first big event we've had there.
Yeah.
Every other event we have just been pretty low-key, because we're just trying to get our feet wet and figure out how this property works and figure out what to do with it. But, man, get a bunch of people out there camping, having a good time. And it's 116 acres. Jake Latimer from Extreme Flat Track is going to start construction on the flat track on the 20th, so we should have the flat track done, have races out there.
What size track are you planning on?
It's going to be a little bit smaller than a half mile.
It's pretty big still.
So, I'm not sure exactly, but from what Jake says, it'll be a perfect size for a good red dirt, because it's all Texas red dirt out there. It's going to be a good size for a red dirt flat track, which will be maybe 3/8, maybe something. But then we're going to put a smaller track in the center for pit bikes and mini bikes, and we're cutting in 2 straightaways for chopper drags.
Oh, hell yeah.
Were you out at the Fandango?
No. I don't. Justin was out there ripping around, hang 'em high.
Oh yeah, he was. He won the chopper drags.
Yeah. I don't know what I was doing something. I don't remember what it was.
Well, you got to put it on your calendar for next year.
It's the weekend before my camp out is what it is.
Well, then
So
you got
it was,
a whole week to get it together.
Yeah, I think we had the weekend that we do our camp out, we get same kind of vibe. I start getting tons of people coming in from out of town here to Dallas, and we'll be doing podcasts and things, and then everybody's like, because like Big Trouble and them all got here on a Monday, and which would be the day after the Fandango and shit, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I had people coming in here doing podcasts, so it was like,
well,
it's a tough one.
Get out there. The chopper drags were the shit.
Yeah. That place is huge, though, I heard, the Fandango spot.
I mean, it's the fairgrounds with the horse track and a big parking lot, and it's got a, it's not super big. It's not as, I would guess it's probably about maybe a 30, 40 acre lot.
Mm-hmm. That's still pretty damn good size, but
most, the parking lot is most of that.
Yeah. I wanted, man, the hardest part about doing anything these days is there's so many options.
Dude, there's so many events. Trying to pick an event. Trying to pick a weekend for an event.
Yeah.
Like, well, you can't do it this weekend because that's going on. You can't do it this weekend because that's going on. You can't go, so I guess we got to do it this weekend. And as soon as you make the date for a weekend, somebody goes,
someone pops out of the
same weekend as our thing. And you're like, what can you do?
Yeah, there's only 52 weeks?
So we're going through that. And the other big news is Born Free coming to Texas. Mm-hmm. And it'll be out of Yellowrose Canyon in October 2022. So it's going to be a merger. Yeah. It's not going to... Southern Throwdown's not going to disappear, but it'll just be kind of a side note. It'll be Born Free with a little Southern Throwdown.
So Born Free is still going to operate in California for as long as it can.
They're going to have California in June, and then California and Texas in October.
Nice.
And so far, I don't have all the details, and I can't spill too many beans yet, but Mike and Grant are going to do a little bit different with the Born Free Texas. It's not going to be the same format. It's not going to be exactly the same as far as like invited builders and all that stuff goes.
Yeah.
Especially for the first year, they're going to try to do something a little more that doesn't take not as much structure or whatever, because we got this property where people, Born Free in California, it's like from like noon to 5 p.m., and then you go to the after party. Here at this place, we'll be able to camp out. We'll be able to be in the grounds the whole weekend. We'll be able to have a bunch of places to ride around. We're going to have races on site instead of races
off-site,
an hour away. Because in California the races are in the next town over, so it's like the day before. Yeah. And it's a whole different gig, but I think it'll be super cool.
I'm excited, man. I think that's gonna. Ever since Texas really shined last year during the pandemic. Not that all the bikers out there in California wouldn't have done it, but the state just shut them down so much they couldn't do shit. Similar to probably the way that they, we couldn't do your show last year, but everybody out here was just still free to kind of still do shit and congregate, and we weren't, you know what I mean? It wasn't over the top here, so
I rode my fucking ass off.
I rode the most I've ever rode in my life last year.
I did 31 states.
I don't know. I might have done that.
Yeah. I did 31 states in 2020 and one trip. The trip we went to Sturgis and Glacier and Salt Lake and Moab and Taos, and we did Peoria, Illinois. We did one big trip, me and a couple guys. It was like 7,500 miles in less than 3 weeks. I
haven't done more than a 5,000-mile trip yet at once. Yeah. But this year after Sturgis, I left. I was going to go hit California up, and I was sitting in Salt Lake. I'm like, do I go home or do I go to San Francisco? And I wanted to go to the Salt Flats and take pictures of my bike.
I have not been to Salt Flats.
You haven't been to Salt Flats? It's pretty surreal.
I want to go.
It's like you've been to like sand dunes, like desert.
Yeah.
It's like that emptiness feel.
Yeah.
But flat.
Yeah. I'm super intrigued by it. I've been almost everywhere I could think about wanting to go. And
it's nowhere like. If you go there, if you're in Salt Lake and you go there and come back, I get it. But if you're there and you're like, I'm going to go to Reno, like they call it from Wendover, which is where Salt Lake is, or the Salt Flats is all the way to Reno, is the most boring stretch of highway ever made in America.
It's like Kansas.
Kansas has more to see on this fucking road. It's pretty rough, and it's 400 miles long. the only reason I dig that is because you see the terrain change right there.
Yeah.
It kind of goes from
But
the
there's
plains
still a few hundred miles where it's just
it's shit. Yeah.
hot, boring, and just,
If you've done Raton a lot,
oh, yeah.
which I know you guys have, then yeah, it's like, fuck, man. Once
As
you
soon
get
as you get to Amarillo and turn off the highway, it's great. As soon as you get to that, it's
yeah,
great.
it's I've never really hung out in Raton though. I know that JP's got a nice little setup there.
It's a killer town.
I've always passed. I
It's
passed
a
through.
weird place.
Yeah, I heard it's got some stories.
I mean, it's just a lot of it was a ghost town for many years. It just never. It's just one of those places that never came back after the war. It just never really came back.
It's crazy. You jump right over the mountain, and Trinidad's just a poppin' town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's wild. But yeah, I mean, the Yellow Rose Canyon thing, I feel like it's a perfect solution to a lot of show issues we've been having for I mean, the scary thing about Born Free was whether or not they were able to get the permits to even have an event. Now, even I'm surprised that it even took place.
Dude,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, we went out there, and I had some friends that went to LA around the same time, and they were like, "Dude, it is locked down. Everything's closed. There's not even traffic on the street. You can't go inside any building. It's crazy." And then when Orange County, right there where Born Free is, nothing. Everything was open. Everything was fine. You wouldn't know anything was going on at all. And 1 hour away, it was like complete lockdown.
Yes,
People in Orange County don't give a fuck.
When I went to San Diego in March. Yeah, so I went to San Diego in March, rode out there. Same thing. San Diego, fucking Temecula, all those little areas around Orange County and South, like they're like, fuck it, we're open for business. Let's party. We were eating inside. Nobody asked you to put a mask on, none of that stuff. And then you go up to LA, and my wife's from Santa Clarita up there in the mountains there. And so we're up there, same shit. Everybody's like, freaking out, walking around. I was on the subway in New York. This was this was this year. And you have to wear a mask on the subway is what they say, right? We're from Texas. We try not to wear a mask anywhere possible. And
I don't wear it ever.
Yeah, I try not to either.
You don't have to try. You just don't put it on.
Yeah. I try not to be a nuisance for the normal people out there. But this lady kept staring at us, and she was like smiling, but we can't see through her mask and shit. And right before she got off the subway, she asked us if we stormed the Capitol. It was like,
oh man!
I was like so taken back by it. I just laughed. I was like, that's a good one. Like that's gonna be a thing now. Like if
you look like the guy.
Yeah, I look like one of the guys that was just doing that shit.
Fucking insurrectionist. That's what you are.
Fuck yeah. But yeah, it's I don't. The mask thing is weird. I don't dig it. I like to be out here.
People can do whatever they want.
Exactly.
You can do whatever you want. You wear a mask. You not wear a mask. You wear a wig. You wear a T-shirt. You wear a button up.
Yep.
You do whatever you want.
How did you deal with it being in Deep Ellum and all the shit they were trying to enforce on everybody?
We just lived the dream.
Kept the wood up.
We had sun protection on the windows, plywood sun protection on the windows. Didn't want any of that.
Yeah.
Any light shining in.
It'd be like a fucking like a casino. You walk outside. What time is it? Fuck.
Man, I tell you what, we were boarded up for a year, 3 days short of a year, I think it was. And then when we took them down, we were instantly like, man, we should stay boarded up.
Yeah.
It was a different vibe in there for sure.
Dude, Deep Ellum, I got to get you.
It was still busy,
but just
we were boarded up and busy as could be, the whole year.
The vibe down there is weird right now. Is it not, like you being a native to it in a sense, like you being there so long and being a part of that community? How do you feel about the vibe in Deep Ellum right now?
I mean, it's changed a dozen times since I've been down there. And I always loved it. Mm-hmm. Whatever. I mean, I loved it in '89 when I was a punk rock kid selling drugs on the corner, and I love it now. But the shutdown was wild because at the height of the lockdown, when nobody was open in Deep Ellum, there was like 3 places that were open, and we were one of them. And Friday and Saturday night, there was thousands of people down there.
Yeah.
No bar was open, but everybody was just dancing on the hoods of their cars, drinking beers in the street. It was just mayhem down there. And we're just like, the whole neighborhood is a club now.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's inside anywhere. It's all out.
Yeah.
Like, Clearview parking lot was a damn dance club. There was 500 people just, like, raging, and there was nobody to do anything.
Nice.
And I'm just like, well, there you go. I guess
we're still going to party.
You can't stop people.
Well, what about, like, you know, with all the new growth? I mean, they're building so much shit down there. Like, you know, with, like, them tearing down the old buildings closer to the bridge. Like, what was the place, like,
There's
door?
hotels down now.
Is that what they're putting there?
Yeah, there's living and stores and shops and hotels, and I mean it's just progress.
Yeah,
you know, it's just economy going and more people moving here and more people needing, you know, whatever. It's never going to be the same. And
True.
There's no, you know, when it comes to stuff like that, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah,
you
true.
know, it's like everybody's, well, Deep Ellum's not going to be the same. I'm like, yeah, it's not the same as it was last year either. Like, you've only been here 5 years. I've been here for 30 fucking years. I've seen it change 10 times. You know, there's only maybe 5 or 6 businesses that have been there since I've been there. You know, it's like Trees and us and what else has been there? Cafe Brazil.
Yeah.
Pepe Mitos.
How long has Reno's been there?
Well, Reno's was a Mexican restaurant called Omega's for a long time, and then it was something else, and then it was Reno's. Reno's probably been Reno's for 10 or 12 years now.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's changed owners 2 or 3 times, or partners have come and gone out of it. I don't think anybody involved with it now was part of the original Reno's crew.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Most places down there have changed or changed owners. There's a restaurant called St. Pete's. You ever been there? Guy named Pete owns it. It's a killer restaurant. He's been there for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
You know, but most places have come and gone. Pete's a great guy. Tell him I said hi when you go in there.
Why was that so funny?
I don't know what laughing. I got a few real quick. I'll be right back. All right. He's a listener. He's a good talker, too.
All right. Well, Jason's going to poop. It's going to be a while.
Well, I've lived in Waxahachie my whole life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I noticed that the Black Rose, it was, turned into Ink Masters. Did you have a part in that?
Oh, no.
No?
That's not. They're completely unaffiliated, and they are just using the name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, completely fraudulently.
Oh, shit.
Like, I think the show is called Ink Master. They just put an S on it.
Okay, I figured it was kind of you were involved since you're
No.
you're around here quite a bit.
Yeah, no, they just Ink Master became a popular show, and they're like, ooh, let's name our shop Ink Masters.
Damn. You haven't gone in there and said, what the fuck?
I don't give a fuck. I don't own Ink Masters. I don't give a shit. It ain't my job.
Yeah, I had no clue. I thought
Yeah.
you were involved with
A
that.
lot of people ask me that, and I was like, I don't even know anything about that place.
Damn.
I never even seen it.
You're in the...
I heard about it.
What is it?
We're in the Oddfellows building.
Oddfellows.
I've been a member of the Waxahachie Oddfellows for about 15, 16 years. So I've been going to Waxahachie for quite a while. You know the Web Gallery down there? There's a art gallery there called the Web Gallery.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been friends with Bruce and Julie Webb for many, many years, and he was a member of Oddfellows too. And you know, it's just a good, you know, community service oriented group. You know, just kind of do stuff for the town, and we do a couple different big charity drives every year, and it's just kind of basically a civic group or whatever. But it's been there on the square for 100 years. So super cool.
Yeah, I had a buddy who was in there in the Oddfellows, and you actually attended his funeral, Tanner Brady.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
my buddy, man.
Yeah, I went to high school with him.
Yeah, he was my brother for sure, man. He was a great dude. He was a character too, man. He was wild.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
he was great, man. I mean, I was pretty torn up when he passed. But I kind of just had this weird, like, I don't know, with the sense of being okay with it, just because, that's how he was.
Yeah.
Literally, if you're gonna live fast and die young, he was it, dude.
Yeah.
And we did a big benefit for him, for his family, his kids after it was over. And I didn't know his mom before that, but I met her. She was amazing, and I wanted to be completely respectful, and I was just like, hey, I want to. Everybody's doing things to raise money, and everybody's trying to help out the family and help with the funeral costs and help with the kids and all this stuff. And I was like, hey, man, I want to, I'll make some T-shirts, that help out and donate or whatever. I just want to help however. And you saw that T-shirt design I did. It said Tanner Brady, live fast, die young. And I was like, I sent it to. I was like, oh, I don't hope his mom doesn't get bummed out when and I sent it to her, and she was just like, Tanner would like that, Yeah. And it's fucking badass. I mean, he's fucking. He was one of those dudes that had 10 people said that he was their best friend. You know what I mean? Like, he was just everybody wanted to be fucking friends with Tanner. I only knew him for a couple of years, but I felt like I fucking grew up with the guy. He was a lot younger than me too, but also reminded me of fucking being wild and fucking crazy when I was young. But, the circumstances around that shit, man, I tell everyone, fucking motorcycles.
Yep.
You're fucking unsafe at any speed. Literally. Fucking.
Yeah.
I'm pretty reluctant to tell people to buy a motorcycle or get a motorcycle. If you're not a motorcycle person, I'm like, and I've had a couple of friends, that started riding, I wouldn't say under my influence, but under the time that I knew them. And I'm just like, I tell them straight off, I was like, every time you get on a motorcycle, you could die.
Yeah.
That is it. You could be dead. You might not make it home. This could be it. That's how you need to, if that is not a reality you're willing to accept, then don't fucking ride a motorcycle. Simple as that.
I think about that a lot too. Being in the motorcycles for as long as I've been, and the amount of people I've known, and I've been pretty fortunate to where, I haven't lost too many friends that are close or whatever. But man, it's a scary thing. You never know when that phone call is going to come after a bike night.
I've lost a few. I've got a few friends that lost their legs. I got, what I mean? And people are like, well, doesn't that make you want to not ride motorcycles anymore? And I'm just like, no.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's another thing that doesn't have words to it. Like, I don't have an explanation why I wouldn't quit riding because of this happening, but it's just
I've had some pretty bad crashes, and I've been pretty lucky, and I ride the next day.
Yeah. It's scary. I was at a funeral yesterday for a friend that he didn't pass because of a motorcycle ride, because his bike's right downstairs. I've had for 2 years.
What?
Yeah, he passed away.
Oh, shit.
And but healthy dude, 50 years old, goes to gym. Apparently COVID got him. Who knows? Who knows if it was I tend to believe there's got to be something else in the mix, like another, laced with something.
Well, my partner just passed away not too long ago.
For real?
Just heart attack. 50 years old. Out like a light. Fucking bummer, man.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the scary.
When somebody has a bad crash, I have so many friends that have had bad crashes, and every month there's a benefit for somebody who got hit on their motorcycle, and it's just like, any of us could be next, and I don't know. I don't think about it. I don't think that's a part of the thrill. People, oh, you're a thrill seeker. You just risking death every day. I'm like, I don't think about it. I just ride a motorcycle.
Completely out of mind.
I just enjoy. If I thought about it, then I wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, yeah, man, I'm a firm believer in just living your life, doing what you want to do, enjoying every day, and every day could be your last. And I've said that my whole life. You know, I was one of those kids that never thought I'd make it to 50. And now I'm fucking 50. I feel old as fuck, and I'm not going to change anything now. You know, it's just whatever.
Yeah.
I still act like a fucking stupid kid, but I just ride slower motorcycles now.
That's probably the same thing. Like, I rode sport bikes, and the things that I got away with on sport bikes.
Oh man.
I would freak out if my son wanted a sport bike. Or,
Oh man.
you know what I mean?
When I rode sport bikes, I mean, every day was near death.
Yep.
Yeah. Every day you get home back, oh man, I almost died. You know, but
Yeah.
I mean, I wiped out almost on a Daytona, a Triumph Daytona. I was doing about 95 on my own street, and just there was a new big broken spot of the pavement, you know, that had gotten worse, and I hit it and tank slappered and just flew off the bike at 95 miles an hour. I mean, I was just 1 second, I was like, and next second it was just yard sale, you know.
Wow.
I just in the air, not knowing what happened, bikes flipping down the street, and I'm just.
Yeah,
And luckily,
that's the scary thing. I mean,
luckily I didn't hit anything or get hit by anything. I just slid, and like literally, when I stopped sliding, my pants were 2 houses that way.
yeah,
Like I slid on my butt for a while, and then flipped and slid, and then next thing you know, like I had my belt was still on, and the top of my pants was still attached to my belt, but everything else, the legs were down the street. Like it split the seam all the way down, and then just ripped the crotch out. And I stood up, and I was sticking my underwear and blood everywhere. I'm like, ah!
you make it so funny.
Dude, I had this wallet in my back pocket.
Wow.
Damn.
And that was probably in 96.
God damn. I'm
Same
more
wallet.
impressed that you have the
Same
same
wallet,
wallet. Yeah.
Yeah. But wallet saved my butt for at least 50 yards or so.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Oh
don't know,
yeah,
man.
my shoes. My shirt was like hanging by one sleeve. My whole left side of my body was just like, skin was just rolled down.
Yeah.
My helmet was totally flat. Like this whole side of my helmet was just a big flat spot.
Yeah, it's like I feel like every time I ever think about like, man, if I wrecked, what would I do? It's like I don't think
You don't do anything.
You just take it. Like there's nothing you can do.
You just get flung like a wet noodle, dude.
I'm gonna do cartwheels
There's
until
no kind of like
just keep doing cartwheels till I come to a stop.
of the whole little like getting thrown around. You don't really know anything, but I just remember at one point I was like, and my head was just like on the pavement for a bit,
Yeah.
and that whole helmet was just a big, complete flat spot all the way right there, and I was like. If I want to, and I usually don't wear a helmet, but it was sprinkling earlier, so I put a helmet on. But if I wouldn't have had a helmet on, it would have been would have been the end.
You've been Two-Face.
But
Yeah, I don't think about that. I try to think about it. You know, Sax had a nasty wreck on his way to Sturgis. Same shit you're just talking about. Just over hill, tank slap, and next thing you know, you're on the ground.
Yeah.
And
I put steering dampeners on my motorcycles now.
you do?
I had one, and it fucking didn't make a
Oh, really?
difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I got a steering dampener on my new motorcycle. It's great.
For real?
Any kind of little thing you hit, you don't even feel it.
It's like,
That's what I thought too. I put so much trust into it
Yeah, and then
because the whole time I had the bike, it never wobbled on me once, and I'd be going around a 30-mile-an-hour curve doing 100 and fine.
yeah.
And this one time, I'm almost to Sturgis. I go down a hill, and it just fucking
Boom, out of control.
yeah.
yeah. That's what's weird about motorcycles. It's like, it's not always the bike. It's not always you. It could be a fucking cow from left field just runs across.
Most of the time, it's somebody not watching where they're going.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think about it. I try
But
not
most
to.
of the time, even if somebody pulls out in front of you,
You have enough time to kind of.
if you were doing the speed limit, you'd have you would have time to probably swerve, miss it, or slow down, or B, if you hit them at 25 miles an hour, because you're going to slow down a little bit,
Yeah.
Once you know,
Well, most of the time,
even if somebody pulls out, usually the motorcycle was not operating at the safest.
yeah. Well,
I'm never operating at the safest level of
yeah.
operational skill. I am like, you know,
I feel like a lot of times, even when cars do like pull out in front of you or change in your lane, me when I ride, I'm pretty aware of every car
Yeah, you got
around, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if that car sees me or not. That's gonna pull out. So I'm like, until I pass them, I'm always on the
defensive.
mental. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
what if they do? So you know what I mean. So I've been fortunate. I've
Well,
never wrecked.
That's what I tell people when they're learning. I'm like, you have to believe that every single car on the road is trying to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they might mistakenly pull out. No, I'm talking about they're deliberately out to assassinate you on purpose. They are trying every chance they get to run you over.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to look at every car and think about that. You know, and just avoid or, you know, because people change. I've had I'm just driving side by side right next to a car, like dead side with their with their window, and then they just go. So I don't stay right here.
Yeah.
Like I stay behind them until it's good, and then I pass them and get in front of them. And that's, I mean, I believe driving faster is safer than driving slower.
Yep.
Like always be passing. Always,
Always be passing. Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, I don't like getting passed up ever. I feel very unsafe.
No, if people are passing you, you're in danger.
Yeah.
Because they're going to run you over.
Mm-hmm. You've the other thing that you guys would do a lot, and I don't know all the details. I just heard you tell the story. You guys would go do this trip every year where you'd go tattoo in different areas or something like that. Like, what's the premise behind that?
Well, the one tour we do is the Bike Riders tour.
Yeah, yeah.
And my buddy Ben Nichols from the band Lucero, greatest rock band in the world, he's a motorcycle rider, and I went on a bunch of tours with him and riding a tour bus and, tattoo on the tour and tattoo them. And, it kind of came in. One year he was going to just get on his motorcycle with his guitar and go play some shows. And I was like, oh, I'm fucking going on that. You know what I mean? Let's fucking do this. And so he went and did a couple shows one year, and then the next year I was like, and they have a song called Bike Riders, which is based on the Danny Lyon book, Bike Riders. It's like whatever. But I was like, we just going to name the tour Bike Riders. What else are you going to call it? Like, we're going to get on our bikes. And so we just kind of put it together the first year and it's been like 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 years now that we've done it. We missed a couple of years because touring schedule didn't line up, but I think the first one was probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I put all my tattoo gear in a tour pack, and he puts his guitar in a fucking, what do you call it, dry bag?
Yeah.
And strap it across the back of his bike, and we just do 10 or 12 cities, and we just ride. And this is a tour, like when I talk about needing a new bike, you can't do this kind of thing on an old bike.
You got obligations.
Because I have to be at the tat shop at 2 p.m. I have to leave Phoenix by 7 a.m. to be in fucking San Diego by 2 p.m. You know what I mean? It's like, so you got to go. But we pull into town, go to a tat shop, do a couple tattoos, go to the bar, set up. He plays a show. We party all night. Wake up the next morning, go to the next town, do the same thing.
That's cool.
And every year we've done it. We did was a benefit for this charity called True South.
Yeah.
Which raises money for people who've been in motorcycle accidents. Which, man, like through my buddy that puts on the deal, have helped so many people that have been in accidents. And it's pretty cool. And Bell Helmet sponsored it. And we would give away a Bell helmet. We give away a motorcycle helmet every night. Yeah. So we sell raffle tickets, give away a helmet every night, and sell merch. And he'd play a show and always end up partying until way too late, getting very little sleep, and then jumping on the bikes the next morning and haul ass to the next town. And that is a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
And for being on tour, all your expenses are nothing. We're staying in cheap motels, splitting rooms, and paying gas on a motorcycle, and that's it.
Yeah, you can. That's the way you travel.
But him for a band, like he's used to spending thousands of dollars a day to get the band from one city to the next.
Yeah.
Now he's paying like $80, you know, and playing a show every night, you know. So it's pretty cool. But we didn't do it 2020, and then as soon as shit started opening back up this year, the band had to get back on tour because everybody had been doing nothing. Yeah. So there wasn't time to schedule it. So hopefully 2022 Bike Riders Tour will be coming back.
Do y'all just do it solo like that, just you two, or do y'all?
There's these. The last couple years we had 3 tattooers, me and 2 others, and then the guy with the charity, Aaron Finnan, and the merch guy, and then some years we had a film crew follow us one year and just make a little documentary about it.
Did it ever come out?
It's online. I think you can still see it. I'm pretty sure it's still available, and it's on a website called realhouse.org, REEL house.org. I think we should check that and see if it works.
How was the deal that you did with the Norman Reedus on that ride thing when he came through town?
Oh, that was fucking a lot of fun.
For real?
Yeah, he's a cool dude, and he's serious into motorcycles. He's been in motorcycles a long time, but I met him through a Sailor Jerry event. Like, you know, Sailor Jerry, the liquor brand, is based on a tattoo artist, and so they have me come out. They have tattooers come out and work at different events, but I've done a bunch of events for them, and they had a big Fleet Week deal in New York where all the Navy comes in to port, and they have a big deal. So they had a big Fleet Week party. I was tattooing out there, and they had this big deal where Norman Reedus was going to – this is a great story. Norman Reedus was going to – just to let y'all know, if you weren't listening before, you should listen now because Norman Reedus is cool. And some people are like, oh, you know, he's just some actor douchebag. No, he's a fucking badass. But he's supposed to – the deal is he's going to ride in on this FXR that's got Sailor Jerry designs all over it, and then pull up to the stage and get out and do this big, you know, speech and toast to the Navy guys, and you know, it's a big deal because he's Norman Reedus. So I'm there tattooing, and Norman Reedus rides in on that bike and whatever. It's a pretty fucking cool bike. I can't remember the guy's name that painted it, but you probably heard of him. He's some guy that
Buck Wild.
Yeah, that is who it is. So it's a pretty good paint job on the bike, but it's all like traditional looking designs. And most people that would do that would fuck it up and make them look modern or fancy or airbrushed. Yeah. But he did a good job making it look.
He works with Land Speed Shop guy.
He made it look like the design. Yeah. So it looks antique. It doesn't look like it, you know, it looks cool. But anyway, Norman Reedus rides in, does a little deal, and then comes over and I meet him, and we just hit it off. We're making friends or whatever. And the girl is like, here, have a drink. You know, and I'm like, I don't drink. And Norman's like, okay, I can only have one because I got to ride the bike home. You know, he had an apartment in New York or whatever. And she goes, oh, have all the drinks you want. Oliver can ride the bike home for you. And I was like, hell yeah, I'll ride that bike home for you. And I was like, all right, man, I got to go back and do some more tattoos. And then, you know, I did a couple tattoos, and then Norman just came over. He's like, oh, man, we're just bullshitting. And then he leaves again, and then he comes back. And then the end of the day comes around, and this girl comes up to me, and she's like, okay, Mr. Reedus wants me, here's the keys, here's the address, here's the this. And I was like, what? And she goes, well, he said you're riding his motorcycle back to his house. And the fucker got drunk, for real. It was like, Oliver's riding the bike, you know? And so I'm like, well, fuck yeah, I'm riding the bike. So then he comes over, and other people are like, we're going to party at Norman's house. You're coming to the party. I heard you're coming to the party. And I'm like, I mean, I guess I'm coming to the party. I don't fucking know. And then they're like, man, are you bringing your tattoo stuff? You could tattoo over there. And I'm like, well, I'm riding the bike. I can't bring my stuff in the tattoo. And then his assistant, or one of the Sailor Jerry assistant girls, is just like, well, you pack up a tattoo, I'll bring it, and we'll meet you there. So I was like, okay, cool. So they pack up all my tat shit. I get on this fucking FXR and I fucking rip out of there.
Yeah.
Fucking go to his place. It's this high-rise apartment in New York City. And there's all the, the people partying there. And I set up and tattoo in the kitchen. And I called my girlfriend. I was like, "You're never gonna believe what's going on." And she loves Norman Reedus, loves The Walking Dead, loves all that shit, loves Boondock Saints. And I was like, "Yeah, babe, you're gonna wish you came to this event." I'm tattooing in Norman Reedus' kitchen right now. She's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
That's how that shit always does happen though, right? Like just being present,
right place at the right time.
Yeah, it's like being present, being down to do whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But yeah, man, he's and then he hit me up and he was like, "Hey, man, I'm doing an episode of the show Ride in Texas. Let's see if you want to be on it." And I was like,
yeah, and the other guy that Steven, what's his name?
Sean Patrick Flannery.
He's lives in Houston, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a Texas native.
So I saw him when he's coming through, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, that's badass."
He's actually a fucking really nice guy.
Yeah.
Like super friendly. Like he's not a Hollywood type at all.
I don't know if he's done a whole lot of other things other than. I mean, I know he's working.
He was in that movie Powder. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember Powder.
He was the dude that had no hair, was all white, and had magic powers. You ever seen that movie?
With
I remember the more. It's been a long time.
yeah, it's been like it's
That's what you say. You
a
don't
movie about Coke, right? It's a movie about Coke.
No.
No,
That's Blow.
that's Blow. All right, I'm
This
thinking
is Powder because he was white like powder. But he's got a new. I'll plug something for him right now. Sean Patrick Flannery, he's a great fucking guy, but he's in a new movie that's kind of a smaller independent film. I can't remember the name of it, but it's great, and it's about like mixed martial art fighting.
I saw he was doing jujitsu and shit like that.
It's about a jiu-jitsu fighter that like is retired, but then like blah blah blah. But his kid is in the movie, and his kid plays him when he's younger. The character, man, what is the name of that movie?
I think it's on Netflix right now.
It's either on Netflix or on Amazon or something. Yeah, but it's something like oh man, what a great movie though.
Look it up, Sean Patrick Flannery, real quick.
What's his newest movie? And I think
how was it? Right, I mean, you've dealt with a lot of the filming type stuff, but how was it in that Ride episode with them filming, and was it pretty seamless and shit like that?
I mean, the story goes is they showed up in Dallas and met me at the tat shop, and then we left the tat shop and went on a ride, and we rode around a little bit, and then we rode to my house. And then we hung out and had a little barbecue party at my house. I invited a bunch of motorcycle friends over, so it'd be a bunch of bikes there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the Dallas chopper scene kind of shit. And it was fucking cool. And then we went on a ride from my house on choppers. But as every TV thing goes, you film a shitload, and then you edit down and only use what can fit. So there's only episodes only so long.
Yeah.
So the part of the show where I put Norm and Sean on shovel heads of mine to go ride around because they, Sean had never ridden an old shovel head before, and it was super cool. He was like nervous. I was like, fuck it, dude, just go, and he loved it. He's like, I gotta give me one of these. Yeah. But so that part of that didn't really make the edit, and they were having some audio problems. We had mics in our helmets so we could all talk and ride around. Yeah. And so the audio problems were happening. So there's only a few little clips of show us riding or whatever. But I mean, we filmed all day, like literally like a 12-hour or 10 or 12-hour day of filming, and it's only about 20 minutes of the TV show. Because the TV show is in two parts. Like first half of the show, Norman meets Sean in Houston, and they do some shit around Houston, and then they ride to Dallas and meet me, and then we ride around Dallas. So, but it was, it's being a part of any film production is a whipping. It's a pain in the ass. It's like a lot of sitting around, a lot of waiting for them to figure out what's going on with the cameras and all that kind of shit. But that show was pretty loose, and Norman is just like, I'm just going to go crazy and do whatever. Y'all better get it on camera. So it's a little bit more real, a little bit more fluid, and it ends up in the show and ends up being kind of choppy because some things you don't get or you don't get a good angle of it, so you cut it out or whatever. but he's not the kind of guy that's like, oh, that was funny, or that looked cool, do it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, no, I did it. I'm doing something else now. Just get the next thing. But when you do a show like Walking Dead, you got to do every scene like 20 times.
Yeah.
So in his own show, he's like, nah, we ain't doing none of that.
Yeah, I feel like, I'm stoked that he he is who he is, but he's also a true motorcyclist, and he's actually doing whatever he can to bring attention towards it. Because, I mean, if you think about
Well,
it.
he showcases all kinds of cool shit, and not on all kinds of motorcycles and all kinds of people and all kinds of walks of life. And the show's actually really fucking cool, but it's not a.
You can't be
From what I understand, they don't make no money on that show, but they make so much fucking money on Walking Dead that they're like, you can do whatever you want, Norman.
Yeah.
I think that the first couple seasons, that's definitely how it was. I mean, I think it's getting more popular. Because when I first was on that show, it was hardly anybody.
Yeah. It's like season 2, I think, you were.
But then a year later, now 2 years later, like every week somebody's like, oh man, I saw you on Norman Reed's show. And I'm like, man, that was a long time ago. Now, but when it was brand new, nobody saw it. Yeah. But it was pretty cool.
I think a lot of people have like you have something big like The Walking Dead, if that was to come out on TV right now, I don't think we would probably catch on to it for a year or two, because most people don't watch normal TV anymore. Yeah. If it doesn't come on Netflix or Amazon.
Now they're hooked on it.
Now it's got such a backlog that, and plus it's on Netflix, right? So I don't know how that would work. But TV fame is notoriety on TV is so much. One of my good buddies works for the Counts Customs and does all that shit, a painter. And, they do all the restoring cars and shit like that. And hanging out with him, like you'd just be in this random place and someone would walk up that's not in the motorcycle world or looks like they drive cars. He's like, oh man, you're the dude on the TV that does all the painting and shit. And to my buddy, and he's like, yeah. And he signs autographs. People don't even know what they're getting an autograph for.
I mean, most people that say something to me, like, it's a few people everywhere I go that are like, oh my God, Oliver PecK. Oh my God, Ink Master, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Most people are like, you look familiar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I am familiar.
Yeah.
I was driving home from, where was I fucking driving home from? I was in the middle of fucking nowhere. We were driving home from, from Born Free. And I stopped at this gas station in the middle of the night, and I go in the gas station, and the young girl at the counter, she's like, you look familiar. And I said, I am familiar. I'll take $100 on pump 7. And I get my money, and I go in. I start pumping gas. And then I go back in to use the restroom. And she goes, where do I know you from? And I'm like, I don't know what you know. And then I keep walking. And I go to go to the bathroom. And then I come out of the bathroom, and she's like, I swear I know you from somewhere. And I'm like, you probably do. And then I go back out to wait for the pump to be done. And a lady comes out from the gas station, and she's like, my girl in there says that she knows you from somewhere. And I'm like, maybe she does. And she's like, what are you from? And I'm like, can't tell you. She goes, why not? I go, it's not how it works. If you don't know who I am, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And she's like, come on, you got to tell me. I was like, nah, you figure it out. And then I go back inside again to get my change from the pump and then buy a snack or a drink or whatever. And the girl's like, come on, please, tell me where you're from. Tell me. And I'm just like, you're going to have to figure it out. And she's like, well, can I get a picture with you? And I'm like, sure, maybe you'll figure it out later. So she literally came and take a photo with me. And then who knows if she ever figured it out or not. Yeah. But it's like, people can't. She didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
I mean, once she figured it out, maybe she will. But the idea that they want a photo with me just in case they might want a photo with me.
Yeah, that's
better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
I might not want a photo with that guy. But just in case I do want a photo with that guy, I better do it.
Yeah.
And so, maybe she figured it out.
Yeah, that's got to be weird.
Yeah.
like some kind of social currency because you got a photo. You know what I mean?
But people say every day, the other thing happens every day is, you look like Oliver Peck. And I say, they tell me that every day.
Yeah.
Because they do. People every day say, you look like Oliver Peck. And then sometimes that's it.
Yeah.
And then they leave.
Just walk off.
And then they think I'm just a guy that looks like me.
What's that? Isn't it like that whole deal with Tony Hawk where people were always fucking with him about that? Go,
Yeah.
you look like Tony
You
Hawk.
look like Tony, because you do look like Tony Hawk. And people are like, man, you even got a plaid shirt on. Man, you even got a toothpick in your mouth. Man, you even got the same mustache. You look just like him. And I'm like, yep. Yes, I do. What do you want from me? I mean, it's pretty. A lot of my friends like, oh, isn't that a pain in the ass? It's a bummer. I'm like, no, man, it's easy. Just be nice. High five everybody. Everybody's friendly. Everybody's stoked.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I say hi to everybody anyway.
Yeah, anyway.
I'm a friendly guy. Every place I walk in, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Wave at everybody. Nothing's really different.
That's
Now, if
wild.
I was an asshole and fucking was bummed out and was pissed off that everybody's talking to me, then it would become a deal,
Yeah, yeah.
you know? But it's the kind, what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
The kind of people that want to be famous and try to be famous and do everything they can to try real hard to be famous, those are the people that get pissed off when people bug them.
Fuck. I'm working on that. I'm not trying to be famous or anything. Not that I'm ever going to be, but I've had a rough year with like being personable with people outside of my comfort zones. Right? If someone's in my shop, I'm very open and talking to them.
Yeah.
But you know, when you're at a bike event or Sturgis in passing, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, they know who I am. You know, in the small motorcycle world, but then it's like, yo, man, that episode, it was 172, man. You said this, and, you know, I just wanted to pick your brain about that real quick.
I don't remember what I said.
I was like, fuck, I have no idea. Or,
Just smile, shake their hand, say thanks. That's all you gotta do.
I need to. Yeah, it's weird being known for a podcast, man, because a podcast is where people hear your thoughts and
but it
opinions so
doesn't matter what
much.
you're known for.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You can stop doing a podcast anytime you want.
yeah. Does that mean I'm vain now that I want to be famous?
Oh, man.
Oh, shit.
From what I see is you're doing it because it's fun. You're doing it because it's cool. You're doing it because you get to meet people. You're doing it you got to do something.
It's fun.
I know
Honestly.
you gotta do something. Like right now, you're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You could be just sitting at home, fucking watching TV.
I'm watching a podcast right now.
You could be at home, caring about who won the football game.
Yeah,
I give two shits about who won the football game.
yeah.
You know, I'm too busy to care about the football game. I mean, I would much rather watch a podcast about
Shit
something
you're
I'm
into.
interested in,
Yeah.
you know, or something that's relatable to my own life, you know, or something that's knowledgeable and interesting that you can learn from. There's a lot of cool podcasts about, you know, the true crime stuff is all super interesting, you know, because it's information, it's in, you know, whatever. But most of the podcasts that have a specific detail-oriented kind of facet to them, you know, Joe Rogan is a good one, but it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Some Joe Rogan episodes, I listen to like a few minutes, and then I'm like, nah, see what's on the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them catch you, and you're intrigued through the whole time. You know what I mean? But because there's not a specific topic or life basis on it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, most of the ones that people listen to are ones that are tailored to stuff they're interested in, like about tattooing or about motorcycles or about.
Well, his is so big, and I guess because when you're Rogan and you have such an opportunity to bring in so many guests from so many different walks of life, that yeah, there's certain ones that I've grown to love, like when he's hanging with his homies and they're just talking shit. But then if they're going down a rabbit hole of like plastic makes your taint smaller, like I don't.
Does it?
Apparently, there was a podcast about it. I was like, I couldn't.
Well, wait.
get it.
Here's the question: do you want your taint larger?
I don't know.
I feel like that's a proponent for plastic.
Yeah.
Who wants a huge taint?
I don't know.
I need a smaller taint for sure. I need more plastic. I mean, how big a taint do you want?
I mean,
You want to be the guy with a huge taint?
not really.
Yeah.
I don't care about that.
Dude, you seen the taint on that dude over there?
Dude, you see how big that taint is?
You can't
He's got
put
a
your
full fucking.
you don't put
Oh,
your
man.
taint in a chick. So I mean, I guess you could.
I don't know, but apparently that's a thing. This is real. I'm not making it up. And I tried to watch the podcast. I tried to, not watch it, but listen to it. And I was like, man, I don't know if I care. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get rid of plastic. That's kind of, plastic's too much part of the world that we live in. Like, I can't be like, I'm fucking against plastic now.
I would be pro less plastic.
For sure.
Especially on my motorcycle. I don't need very much plastic on my motorcycle. I could probably live without any plastic on my motorcycle. I mean, I have some motorcycles that have zero plastic on them, but they're very old.
I feel like they all should, well, they'd have to be super old to be plasticless.
A 1935 motorcycle has very little plastic on it.
What are the buttons made out of? Are they metal too?
What's that?
The buttons, do they not have buttons on them? Those are more like just...
They do have a switch that has like a composite material, but it's not your typical modern day plastic.
Yeah, fuck, I don't know, man.
It was not printed out with a 3D printer, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Yeah, there's just a lot of different angles, but yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's weird it's the motorcycle industry is large enough to where you can be known, somebody that's known within it or whatever, but it's not like nowhere near as big as the tattoo industry. Not as many people use motorcycles as get tattooed. So it's like it's a weird place to like.
I mean, the tattoo industry is a crazy thing that there's like celebrities in the tattoo industry. It's pretty wild because in the 90s, there was a lot of tattooers that were very well known to a small amount of people. You know, there was a few hundred tattooers around the country, around the world that every tattooer knew. But nobody that wasn't in the tattoo community would have any way of ever hearing about them. You know what I mean? So it's like a very limited amount of exposure.
You'd have to invest in the time, get the magazines.
Very limited amount of exposure. And now that window with the internet and TV has really opened things up to like, and it's pretty mind-boggling with social media and how much interactions there are, and what is followable on the internet and what people want to see. Tattoo artist is a high output job. You know, if you're painting a car, how many cars you paint a month?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like car painters that are famous and put out, you know, here's the new car I painted this month at our shop, blah, blah, blah. But how often?
It took a whole month to do.
That's what I'm saying. Tattooers are putting 10 tattoos on the internet a day or a week or whatever. So it's a lot of content. It's a lot of interaction. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of, so tattooers, I mean, there's just tattooers that have never been on TV, that have never had any kind of celebrity status whatsoever, and they've got 150, 200, 300,000 followers. Just because of the linking, and one tattooer that's popular reposted or tagged or posted a picture with them or whatever, and then you get those followers and those followers and those followers, and there's so much stock put in to that. There's so much value put into your amount of followers. Which is crazy.
I've been thinking about that lately, is because there's not a whole lot of TV shows looking for airbrush artists or custom painters or whatever, right? In the early 2000s, a lot of people was able to gain a lot of fame and notoriety in the motorcycle industry by being on Biker Build Off or on one of those shows or whatever. We don't really have those people knocking on our doors nowadays, and everybody's kind of like doing the social media thing. So why does it feel like a big part of it is unreal?
It's very unreal.
But then at the same time, it's also giving us all the same things that those people got when they were on TV.
But it's very few people are able to like truly, for lack of a better word, monetize what's going on with their social media.
For sure.
Like if you have merchandise that people that follow you will buy, then that's great.
Yeah.
Like tattoo artists have paintings or tattoos or T-shirts or whatever to sell. So tattooing has been able to monetize social media pretty well. But depending on what you got,
if you've got a big ass,
if you're selling you're selling a painted motorcycle that takes you weeks and weeks to do, like you're not. There's not as much turnaround.
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
not as much monetization
you said
of that social media follower. You know,
Yeah, you
unless
said
start
you do 10
merchandising it.
tattoos a day. That's just 10 individuals that now has your artwork on it, when I can roughly do maybe 40 or 50 individual projects a year.
Yeah,
Now, and that's mainly helmets,
big
right?
difference.
So I have 40 or 50 people that I paint a helmet for, and that's a month for you and clients.
But that
or a
being
week.
said, if you're desirable at that level of output, then demand is higher. And what is your price point per painted helmet versus
Yeah, yeah.
the cheap version of a helmet?
Yeah, so what I really
Because
try
my
to
price point on a tattoo isn't very much higher than every average Joe that's doing tattoos out there.
I guess where the question that I'm having or dealing with or trying to understand or at least bring up, because I don't know the answer, is you got guys in the motorcycle industry, let's just say not a Jesse James or a fucking Billy Lane, but someone else that wasn't quite that big but made a good name for themselves in the TV days, right? Most of them are not still in the motorcycle industry anymore, right? A lot of those guys, after the fame and shit went away, they kind of just left. They're doing other things now.
Yeah.
Well, what is the difference between, like, I'm trying to find a good analogy for this to make it not seem so weird, but as a painter who is got a decent following, nowhere near, not saying it's huge, but in some markets it's a decent size, in others it's just a drop of it, whatever, it's nothing, right? And so what's the difference between a guy that's got a lot of followers that puts out quality work? Is he not as professional as the guy that got famous on TV 15 years ago? Like, where's the barrier of entry for professionals to be considered top dogs in the game? You know what I'm saying? We don't really have shows.
Yeah.
That really, I mean, the chopper scene has shows, but the rest of the motorcycle industry doesn't really. Like, there's no.
And I think the amount of people that are going to get famous off of TV is going to drastically decrease.
Yeah.
Because think about in the 80s. I don't know, the 90s. What year did you graduate high school?
01.
So in the 90s, you were in high school, and chances of you meeting somebody that was on TV was fucking minuscule.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Especially here.
In the 80s, I saw Roger Staubach at the airport, and I was a kid. And I didn't really care about football, but there was something about just seeing somebody on television in real life.
Yeah.
And that's the only person I ever saw in real life that was on television. Fast forward 30 years later, I know 100 people that are on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Being on TV is like not that big a deal now. And the amount of people that are, and now TV is basically going away.
Mm-hmm.
Regular TV, cable TV, all that's going away. Everything's going to streaming. Everything's going to YouTube. Everything's going to whatever. So it's getting watered down to where instead of having what we used to have 4 channels of television, and then you had cable and had 10 movie channels, and then you had this, and then you get this explosion where there's like millions of people on television. But now it's going to get to where everybody is on the internet. Yeah. Everybody's live on Instagram. Everybody's on YouTube. And it's going to be it's not going to be that big a deal at all. So the amount of fame you're going to get out of that is also going to be relatively smaller. Because
probably the entry point is so much easier now.
Yeah.
Like, to just, and that's kind of where that's why I'm posing the question as, like, what is the difference, or what is the how is it different? How is it accepted differently?
Some people that aren't on TV
mm-hmm.
hold resentment against people that are on TV because I've been busting my ass for 15 years and I did it the hard way, and this motherfucker just got on TV and now he's famous and people want to pay him $2,000 to paint a helmet, and I'm over here busting my ass for 15 years and I can only charge $1,200 to paint a helmet, and they get all butthurt and they get all pissed and they're miserable and they're sad and they fucking be negative.
Nobody ever wants them on TV.
And it doesn't come out.
Yeah.
The real truth is, don't care what other people are doing, and don't worry about who's famous, and don't worry about who's got more followers. Just do what you love doing, and people are going to love it, and that's all you got to do.
Yeah.
You're not. the one thing social media has done, which I don't like, is it's bred more competition in a lot of areas. Now there's people that are like struggling to, be the guy or be the one, or I want to be the guy people talk of, or I want to be the one on the whatever, and it's just like everybody, there's a place for everybody. Some people are going to vape more, some people are going to charge more, some people will do less, some people will charge less. It doesn't, it's just,
Yeah.
it's too many people comparing themselves to what other people are doing instead of just doing their own thing. I get it in the tattoo shop all the time because I got multiple tattooers that work in the same shop, and one guy is faster and busier and does more tattoos, and another guy takes more time and does slower and does less tattoos. But then this guy's like, oh, well, he's just pumping them out, and the other guy's like, well, he's just slow. It's like just depends on which way you're looking at it.
Yeah. That makes sense. I guess it's definitely like you're just, I guess, like you said, I'm in a sense I'm comparing to all those people that I grew up looking at in the magazines, and like, I use them as like a marker or goal. Like I want to get to this level, whether that, I don't think it was ever so much like I want to be famous, but you just automatically assume that the best people are, right? Yeah. And
that is not the case.
Yeah, true.
I mean, look at Marky Mark. Worst goddamn actor in the world.
Yeah.
And he's famous. And they keep putting him in movies. They just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Like, never mind how much he sucks. Put him in the movie anyway.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Like, who thinks he's good? Somebody's got to think he's good. Because he keeps getting the part. He keeps getting in the movies. You go see a movie, and it's a pretty good movie. And you're like, you know what? Pretty good movie. Except for that fucking Marky Mark just sucks. And I just don't get it. But it doesn't matter if he's good or not. He's famous.
Yeah. He rides bikes too, I heard.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
He might be a great guy. He's a funny guy.
Yeah.
He's funny in interviews. He's a character. There's a couple of movies he's good in, but he's like Ted, where he's being a complete idiot.
That's pretty good.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just a weird thing, but you're right. It is like something that you can get caught up thinking about the what ifs and things like that, or comparing yourself, and the more energy you put in other areas and not in like cultivating your own little life here.
But it's not just on that level. It's individuals, children that are on social media that are comparing themselves to other kids and valuing themselves higher or lower, or valuing somebody else higher or lower based on their internet content, or based on their social media following, or based on their whatever. And it's just like, that's not good. It's not a good, it's not a good set. And I don't know if you remember, but I think it was 2019. I think it was 2019. They started, because it was right before the whole world took a shit. They were talking about taking likes off.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I feel like they should take comments off.
I think you can turn comments off. You have that power.
Yeah.
When you post something, you can turn comments off. If you don't want people to comment on it, you can just turn the comments off. Or if somebody comments something you don't like, you can delete it. So I mean, that is what it is. It's your own deal. You can do whatever you want. But they talked about taking likes off because it was fucking with kids' self-worth or whatever.
Yeah.
I only got 3 likes, and Johnny got 10 likes, and I only got 20 likes, and he got 1,000 likes. I only have 5 followers. He got 10 million followers. You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, fuck, that's great. I'm okay with that. Like, I post a photo because I post a photo, and if my friend comments on it, you're an idiot, then okay. If somebody I don't know comments and says, hey, you're the best, and I can do whatever I want with that information. I can care about it. I can look at it. I can delete it. I can whatever.
But you're also old enough to kind of be able to take it. But I think
I also come from an era of shit talking.
Yeah.
Where me and all my friends, we just shit talk to each other nonstop, And I come from learning to skateboard in the 80s when, you try a trick and you didn't make it. Everybody called you a pussy until you did.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, and you're like, come on, pussy, do it again, and people throw shit at you until you did it, and then I did it. I mean, if it wouldn't have been, I probably would have never learned a Smith grind if it wasn't for that, because 20 other people on the ramp were yelling at me until I did it, and I tried again, and I felt like I got hurt, and I tried again, and I finally got it. You know what I mean? But if I didn't want to learn, I could have quit. I could have went home at any time. Mm-hmm. You know, but nowadays, any sort of what they consider rough or offensive treatment is just, you know, not tolerated, and people, you know, it's just like, oh, you should be nice, blah, blah. I'm like,
the reason I say we should take comments off is just mainly Facebook and Twitter. I mean,
it's just a battleground.
You go, it doesn't matter what post you look at, it's a fucking argument. And the people who posted it, they're not going to turn their comments off because it's
funny.
It's making their posts.
It's generating.
It's making
I'll
everybody
post
see
something, and then somebody will say something on my post negative, and then somebody else will argue with them, and then there's like 10 people arguing with each other on my post.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, half the time the argument gets spun away from anything that had to do with the post.
It becomes fucking.
And I'm just like, I get on there and I'm just like, at so-and-so, go argue on your own page. And then I delete it all. Yeah. You know, and I just take all the conversation and just go. And they, all that minutes that they typed.
Gone.
I went.
Yeah.
And it disappeared. And then what do? Where's my comment? And then they say, you deleted my comment, fuck you. Come on. And I smile. And I go, like, whatever. Yeah. You know, if you don't like me, you don't like the person that's commenting on my thing, you don't like anything, all you have to do is unfollow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All you have to do is keep scrolling. All you have to do is not look. All you have to do is look somewhere else. I just threw it up in the air. You didn't have to catch it. You chose to catch it. Like, when you put something on the internet, you post on Instagram, you're just like, throwing it out. You know? I mean, I see all these people all the time. I follow people that are funny. Yeah. You know, and they make all these funny memes. And then it says, I saw something on the internet that I didn't like. I kept scrolling. I went along with my day. Everything's fine. Yeah. You know? And it's just like, yeah, what's wrong with that? Yep. No, people.
Yeah, that's the scary part. I mean, like I said, I have a 19-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son.
Ooh,
and
better you than me.
Yeah. The daughter dealt with it quite well. Like she's
more 19 now. Yeah. But 11-year-old right now is getting into it.
Yeah. And he's a kid that grew up with YouTube, you know, unfortunately. So
fuck that YouTube, man.
Trust me. It's a good tool if people use it right. But if you're like a YouTube, like there's a lot of shit on there that gets a little bit.
I mean, there's a lot of shit on there I have no clue about.
Yeah.
There's weird things where people get to watch other people play video games, and that's for real. I just learned about that. It's a
big deal too.
Yeah. Big deal. What are you doing? I'm watching somebody play video games. You're not even playing video games. You're just watching somebody else do it. And I was like, that seems insane to me. And then I stopped and I thought, and I was like, wait a minute. My whole family sits on the couch and watch other people play football. Like, here's a football on the counter, and there's a sliding glass door that goes out to a grass yard, and they sit on the couch and watch other people do it.
Yeah.
You could turn the TV off, pick up the football, and walk outside. No. So it's no different. Watching somebody else play a video game is no different than watching somebody else play football.
That's a good fucking point.
And I don't like either of it.
It sucks. I was playing a game right now where Norman Reedus is the main character. But no, that's kind of, so he grew up watching all that stuff, and you know, so part of him, the excited part of me is like, he like took a liking to want to make videos. Which, if you're 9-10 years old and you want to start learning how to edit or video, like
that's a translatable skill for the future.
Exactly. Yeah. But I don't know, man. Like it's a tough one. He's got like a what do you call? he did. I feel like a lot of kids nowadays are having like people skills growing up because they spend so much time locked into these phones and other things like that they're good with.
They're doing this.
Yeah.
People are here and they're doing this.
Yeah.
And that's weird.
It's weird. And
when I was a kid, we did have. I mean, I skateboarded. I played video games. I did things, but I wasn't allowed to just play video games all day.
Yeah.
Even on the day off on a weekend on Saturday, like I could go in the room, I'd put up my Atari 1800 and I'd play after for a little while, and my mom would come in and be like, okay, turn the TV off now. You gotta do something else. Can't just stare at the screen all day. You'll melt your brain. Yeah. You're like, ooh, I don't want to melt my brain. Better turn the TV off. You know, but you just,
it's so
nowadays,
crazy.
It's just melt your brain 24/7. Stare at this thing.
I thought the funny meme I saw about a year or two ago was talking about how, like, you know, when you're a kid, like they told you not to sit so close to the TV.
Yeah.
And then now they have like
a TV 4 inches from your face.
They got those fucking like VRs where it's just literally two screens in front of your eyes, and it's like, I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of truth in that, like that thing with our parents would say about go outside and play and do these things, because now it's like
I am literally a dumber human being because of this phone. I notice in myself that I am a dumber person. I can't add it. I can't add anymore. Can't spell anymore. Don't remember the definition of things anymore, because you know why? Because I don't need to.
Yeah.
Necessity. The reason we're able to do things is because we need to do them. You know what I mean? The reason that you were able to hunt and gather food is because you had to do it. We can't hunt and gather food now because we don't need to do it. I don't know how to spell now because I don't need to know how to spell. All I need to know is the first 3 letters, and this thing tells me the rest of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you spell this? Never mind.
I tried to
I
spell
got it.
Restaurateur.
You just talk into it and it'll.
Yeah, that's
spell
what I
it
do when
out.
I can't spell
you
something.
lose.
Yeah.
You use it or you lose it. And that is how the brain works. You exercise your muscle of your brain. If you don't practice or learn or try, you're going to lose it. So literally, the human race is getting stupider by the minute. And I see it in myself. And I can only imagine the toll it's going to take on a child who stared at that phone from 4 years old until they're 20. You know what I mean?
It's fucking scary.
You're going to melt their damn brain.
That's true.
Fucking doing like TikTok, everybody standing outside. How many people stand outside y'all's window and do dances for TikTok out there?
I haven't seen that.
But fucking pulling back and forth.
I haven't seen that. But I have seen when the what do you call it? When the Pokemon thing was going big.
Oh fuck, that was crazy downtown.
We had Pokemons at the tat shop, so people were coming in all the time trying to get a Pokemon. And we're like, "You want a tat? No, we heard there's Pokemon here." And I'm like, "Man, get out of here!"
Yeah, I remember that because I used to paint a lot of stuff for All Star Baggers that used to be down there in Deep Ellum, and there was apparently like, I don't know shit about it, but from what I was hearing, there was like a really good one to get down there. So Deep Elm was full of people walking around with their phones like this.
They were coming in the tat shop, man.
That's fucking wild. What was the premise of that shit? Do you remember that?
I mean,
you just
I grew up on Pokemon.
You get it
when
you get
I was
points.
a kid. Yeah, I mean,
it's a game.
The whole show was he was going around catching Pokemon, like trying to be the best at catching all of them. And so that's the game, is you go around and you try to catch all the Pokemon.
But why are adults doing it? Is the question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's weird.
I never did it.
I remember games, or like at least cartoons. I don't know. I didn't have to collect a card with it. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's a marketing genius though, because they fucking made a lot of money, for sure.
They monetized that game?
Well, yeah, because the TV show was Pokemon, right? But
I'm saying, but the video game on your phone where you go to.
Oh yeah, they usually have some shit on there where they monetize it one way or another. I mean, if they have enough people on it, then there's ads on it. You know what I mean? I mean, if you have 1 million users on your app.
I have yet to purchase a single cell phone game.
I've never.
I'm not gonna do that.
I play real games on a real TV.
I remember when my old phone had that game Snake on it.
Oh yeah, the
Fuck
fucking Nokia.
Yeah, Nokia.
I got sucked into Angry Birds when that first came out back in like
I didn't
2011.
do that.
That was fucking
The first iPhone.
legit.
Legit.
Shit was legit, dude.
It was legit. I just saw the commercial for it. I don't even, what was legit about it?
Dude, it was just like for a mindless game to play on your phone.
Yeah.
It was just like pull the fucking the drawstring back basically and let this bird fly. And the goal was to try to knock down as much shit as possible in one pool. And had my ass, I was roped up in that bitch. Fucking level 42 and stuff like that.
Yeah, luckily for me, I didn't.
How old are you?
I'm 28, and I didn't have my first phone until I was in high school, and everybody else.
They didn't have phones when I was in high school, bro.
Well, I know, but luckily, everyone else around me had a phone since like fourth or fifth grade, and here I am. I didn't have one until high school, and I'm kind of. But I'm glad that it was that way because I was used to not having a phone.
Yeah.
But and I've caught myself in the past few years being more attached to my phone than I used to be. Yeah.
Yeah. I turned all my notifications off everything, so I only check things that.
Oh, I never had notifications.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I'll delete Facebook and all that shit every once in a while, and just go without it.
I don't delete it. I just never look at it.
Yeah, I
never
never
looked at Facebook in like a year.
I look at the marketplace. I go there to look for parts or shit.
You know, I found this on marketplace. People send me things to Facebook.
Yeah.
And every time they send me a thing, it's like, ooh, you should buy this. It's some cool thing or whatever. And I click on it, and it transfers me to the Facebook deal, and I can never figure out how to contact the person.
You got to, like, I don't know.
I'm just not very good at Facebook. I just Instagram.
Yeah. I like Instagram.
And when I post Instagram, I hit that little button that says also send it to Facebook. So it sends it to Facebook. So all these people think I'm on Facebook. So like, hey, I sent you a message on Facebook. I'm like, I don't see it.
Yeah. That's the same thing that happens to me a lot too. I was like, man, Facebook messaging is so much more complicated, and there's just so much more going on the app itself that it's very hard to navigate if you didn't stay active with it the whole time.
Way too dumb for that.
And
also, the same people that are messaging me on there, they have my phone number. Why are you messing me on there?
Yeah.
Just text me.
Yeah, I hate when this is more of just a stupid gripe, but you know, when I have two Instagrams, right? One for all business stuff, and then one so I can post my wife and my kids, and they still know that I love them because that's the only way that it counts nowadays. But people always go to my personal Instagram, which I rarely ever check and rarely ever get on, and they send me messages about work or whatever the case may be, and I don't see it for a week, and then they hit me with the fucking question marks and shit like that.
You're just too cool to answer.
Yeah, way too cool. Way too cool for school on that one. But yeah, I don't know. And then it's like, it says email me, and my email's right there on all the other places for quotes and work, and I don't know. It's not like a quick transaction, I guess, like a tattoo would be, where you can book appointments and things like that. Like, I got to sit down and, so what are you thinking about?
I can't do that either. I got somebody else does it.
Do you get a lot of those tattoo customers in there that want to that have to tell a story with all their tattoos like they did on TV shows?
Well, I don't get it because I don't do those tats. And my guy that answers my emails, he makes the appointments. You email, Barbarino answers you back. What do you want to get? No, Oliver doesn't do that.
Yeah.
You either get something else or get it by someone else. You know what I mean? And they kind of, but very friendly and very proactively, and let people know what it is, what all the parameters are, what the timeline is, what the price is, what the estimate is, what the expectations are, what I will and won't do. And some people are like, "Oh, he's great, he's the best." You made an appointment. And other people are like, "Oliver's an asshole. He wouldn't do the tattoo I wanted."
Yeah. You don't post a lot of the tattoos you do on your Instagram or anything, do you?
No, I just post like partying and motorcycles.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So,
a couple of years ago, somebody says, "Man, I don't know what's wrong with you, man. All you ever do on Instagram is post you partying all the time." And I'm like, "Is that a bad thing?" Like, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you want tats, come to the tat shop. That's where the tats are.
Yeah. That makes sense.
If you want a tattoo, go to the tat shop.
You got one of those old school books that has all your shit in it?
No, I used to.
Everybody had the fucking notebooks, man.
I did, but I'm too lazy to keep up with it now. Well, I wouldn't say lazy. I'm too busy.
Yeah.
So what are the ones that are sitting on the
It's
shelf when you walk in? Is it
Everybody else that works
everybody else? They
Yeah.
just have theirs up there?
there. Yeah. Most people that want to get a tattoo by me know what to do, know what they're going to get. Or I would say at least 80% of the people I tattoo are people I've either tattooed before or people that know people I've tattooed.
My buddy Craig
Like
got.
you've seen tattoos that I've done.
You did his knuckles. It said like, what did Craig's knuckles say? 'Cause he came to town to do the podcast he has a camp out down south camp out in Florida, and we had to cut the podcast short because he had a tattoo appointment with you.
Oh
we
yeah,
were
that
giving
was
him
just
shit.
a few months ago.
Yeah, it was like early part of the year. Yeah.
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 I remember he was like, "Oh man, I just did a podcast," but he was isn't he friends with the Alley Cat guys?
I don't know if he knows Allie. What's the name of it? Fuck, what is his name? James Fish, or no? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Fish.
And Mike Wilson and all the guys.
I don't know if he knows him, but he's out of Tampa over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just one of the homies. He comes to town a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I haven't had a tattoo in probably 10 years.
Shit hurts, bro.
Yeah, dude, it fucking hurts really bad.
And you're old now because it's gonna hurt worse.
Yeah, and all like I got a lot of kitchen tattoos.
But you haven't had a tattoo in 10 years? It definitely hurts more now.
Yeah,
Guaranteed.
I remember the only tattoo I ever got in Deep Ellum was it Boog? Is that how you said his name?
But
He did my neck and then a couple other spots like script on me and shit like that. Back when I thought I wanted to be a cholo.
and then what happened?
I just changed styles.
Do you,
I started dressing differently.
do you have a rosemary?
No. I don't have that. I remember I got this around my neck. Like I didn't, Tattoo West, right? Or West.
Yeah.
So I didn't know tattoo etiquette.
Oh, I gotta quit.
Etiquette.
Etiquette.
I didn't know it, and basically, I did all the tattooing the way that traditionally, from what he told me, that you don't get tattoos. You don't cover all the outside of your body before the inside's done, or some shit like that. You ever heard that?
Oh yeah.
So I did it the wrong way.
Yeah.
I got everything that peeks out done.
The new
but this
thing,
is,
kids get their hands and necks first.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I did my arms first.
Yeah.
For the most part.
We when I first started tattooing, the rule at the shop was no hands and necks or faces unless the person was a tattooer or already had a full body suit. So somebody came in wanted a hand tattooed and they didn't have
Yeah.
the rest of their body tattooed, like no.
Yeah, I was actually hanging out with him over on Greenville Avenue. We used to, I think it was Holdfast Tattoo. People walked in, he would tell them that. I'd never heard it either, but I mean, I wasn't going to say anything. But yeah, they were dumbfounded, like, oh, I wanted to get my neck tattooed and stuff like that. But it makes sense, like, to have a little bit of, just not go crazy with all this shit first and go full Post Malone on it. You know what I mean?
what's the actual reason behind it? Is it
Well, it's back then, like being heavily tattooed was a hindrance to a lot of things in life.
Yeah.
And so you get some 18-year-old kid in there and get a hand tattoo, and then they can't get a job, and whatever. Then they're gonna get,
Yeah.
It's just if you're not a tattooer, you shouldn't. You shouldn't go that far, and if you're not committed to being heavily tattooed, then you shouldn't start with the parts that are visible. Get tattoos, and then if you're like, and then you decide to commit to it, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, somebody like, no, fuck that. I'm hardcore. I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna get my hands first. I'm like, no, that's just the punk way to do it. You're supposed to get your whole body tatted, and then
Nick.
there you go. But that's the young generation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
nice.
I mean, I know I want to be covered in tattoos,
Well,
but I
you're-
just
you're-
don't have
you're
fucking
running
money
late,
for
bro.
it.
What do you got?
I ain't got the money for it.
But I mean, it's a different world now too, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the rule that came from the 60s, 70s to the 80s, and then to me in the early 90s. That was just how it was.
Yeah.
Things completely different now.
Yeah, I like the tradition of it though, and I think it makes sense because even though tattoos are way more acceptable now, it still is like you don't know what you're going to be doing in your career. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. Well, I've told the story a million times, but when I first got my hands tattooed, and I was young. It was still in the 90s. I had my hands and neck tattooed. I mean, most of my body was tattooed. Like it was, I would go to the grocery store. I would be in line at Tom Thumb on Mockingbird Lane, down the street from my house. Same Tom Thumb I still go to today, you know. But I would walk up to the line, and a lady would be in front of me with a small child, and she would turn around, and she would see me, and she would grab her cart and leave the line.
Wow.
Instead of letting me be behind her. And then the next person in front would look at me and get out of the line. And then I would go all the way to the front of the line, and the lady at the register would like look down and not look at me and leave the register. And then a manager would come over and ring me up and not say a single word to me.
Wow.
Just point at the screen for how much it was, take my money, put my change down without handing it to me in my hand. And then I would take my change and I'd say, "See y'all later, guys." And I'd walk out.
Holy shit.
And it was like that almost everywhere. We tried to go to Wet and Wild. They wouldn't let us in.
Oh, shit. Wet and Wild. You don't remember that?
Yeah,
do you?
dude, I went. Yeah.
Hurricane Harbor.
Stuff
now.
like that. And fast forward 20 years later, I'm standing in line, the same goddamn Tom Thumb. A lady's in front of me with a fucking girl about this tall. She turns around, she goes, "Oh, are you a tattoo artist?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "My daughter's an artist. She wants to be a tattooer when she grows up." And I was like, the times have changed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The same, like this is the same scenario.
Yeah.
In 2 decades, it's like from completely shunned out of society to, "Oh my God, oh, I love your tattoos. Can I touch you and rub my hands all over you in the shopping mall because I want to look at your tattoos?"
Yeah.
Like people just grab you and like, "Oh my God," you know. When before they would like get out of your way and not stand next to you.
Yeah. It's
It's a pretty drastic turnaround.
it's different, man. I think I've heard a lot of people say that's what it was like when you were a motorcyclist, a guy that rode Harleys back then.
Yeah, when I was a kid, my dad rode motorcycles, and like it was like, ugh,
Yeah.
you know, people in the other family were just like, oh, you know,
Degenerates.
and they were.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's crazy that it's like within a lifetime such a difference of opinion about the way things have been.
Well, it's funny because in the 30s and 40s, it was like a very gentlemanly thing to do.
What, motorcycles or tattoos?
Motorcyclists.
Okay.
You know, not poor people didn't have motorcycles. You know what I mean? Like in the 30s and 40s and 50s, rich people had motorcycles. You know?
Yeah.
And it was, you know, there was a motorcycle, very gentlemanly motorcycle attire, like you see in the old catalogs and stuff. People like riding their Harley Davidsons in Indians, you know what I mean?
In a suit with the like the flap.
Yeah.
fucking-
And then the 60s came along and shit got good.
Yeah, that's a strange thing, man. Like the way the culture can accept or not accept something, and the way it. Yeah, that's crazy to even think that just 20 years ago. You know,
what's accepted and what's not accepted in society is, you know, who makes these fucking rules? You know what I mean? Society makes weird rules, and you know.
You would think that like with MTV, like starting to doing video stuff back in the 80s, it would kind of help push a more edgy culture on the Midwest and all the other parts of the.
Even the most boisterous, risque, heavy metal, rock and roller MTV video guys had one tattoo right here.
Yeah. You got to get
what I
that
mean?
barbed
Just
wire,
barbed
like
wire.
fucking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you watch those old Guns N' Roses videos. They're not tatted.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that was probably a big difference because then I remember in the 90s hanging out at my uncle's tattoo shop. Not his shop, but when he worked there. Not hanging out like I'm fucking just there, but we would go by there, and I was always freaked out because everybody wanted to show their piercings all the time, and there's always a dude with his dick pierced, and I'm just like, so this is what y'all
See
do
the
here?
size of the taint on that guy?
He must definitely use a lot of plastic. But no, it was always a strange thing. It's like you just don't see shit like that. It was like the traveling circus kind of idea.
Oh yeah.
The tattooed lady go into this thing and see this crazy shit. You know what I mean? But I think the first time when I started seeing people as a kid like completely covered head to toe, that was always like,
Dick's route.
It's like a completely 180. Like tattoos are okay now. You can't
What
be
if you have a
racist.
tattoo on your dick though, and you're black? You do whatever you want there,
Okay, yeah.
and you're gay. Yeah.
I do not want a tattoo on my dick.
Yeah, fuck that. But yeah, it's basically everything is the complete opposite of what it used to be.
Well, culture itself in general is just, yeah, I don't know. It's scary because everything you do or don't do, and I guess what's weird is like the things you don't do now, people try to go after you. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't post a 9/11 thing yesterday on my Instagram, and I'm worried that people are gonna think I'm not patriotic enough. But I just didn't. I mean, definitely, remember, but I just didn't have a good.
We had an event yesterday for 9/11. We had a concert and it's benefit for first responders in the Henderson area, and it went over great. And I don't worry about what people are going to think on the internet if you post or don't post or do or don't post or, it's just like.
Do you remember where you were when that shit happened?
Oh yeah, man. I was me and my buddy Mike Bond were driving from California back to Dallas. We were on the road, middle of fucking Arizona, and we were just jamming out CDs, just driving, and we drove by a gas station on the side of the highway, and it was just, there wasn't very many people on the highway.
Yeah.
And we drove past a gas station, and there was just a fucking shit ton of cars in the parking lot. And we were like, well, that's wild. And then we drove back to the next gas station, and there's a shit ton of cars in the parking lot. And we're like, that's fucking, what's going on over there? And then my fucking phone had been ringing, and I didn't know it, and I didn't answer it, and the ringer was off or whatever. And I fucking, finally, I grabbed my phone, and my best friend, Jeff Milburn, was calling. And he goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, we're driving, bro. And the radio's so loud. He goes, are you watching the news? And I'm like, I ain't watching shit, man. We're on the road. And I'm like, Mike, turn the radio down. And I turn the radio down. And I'm like, what's going on? And Jeff just goes, we're under attack. And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? He goes, turn on the radio. And I'm like, what channel? He goes, it don't matter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean? And the phone didn't have internet or anything, you know? And I was like, Mike, turn on the radio. And we turned it on, and it was like they were talking, and we were trying to catch up. And Jeff was telling me what was happening. And the next exit we pulled up, there was a gas station, and the parking lot was just full. And so we pulled in and barely got in the parking lot, and got out of the parking lot and stood in the gas station parking lot, and there's a TV in there. And everybody was just standing around.
Yeah,
like,
that's wild.
Holy shit, what's happening? And that was, the whole thing was already, like it was already, the second plane had already hit. Because we had been on the road for hours, not paying attention to anything. And so that's why Jeff was like, we're under attack. Because at first, everybody's like, what happened? We don't know
it looked like an
on.
accident,
Blah, blah. And then when the second one hit, it was like half the people were like, we're under attack, and it was just like.
Yeah, to get a call like that in the middle of nowhere like that.
He's like, I've been calling you for an hour, and I'm like, oh, man, I didn't have my phone. I wasn't looking at my phone.
I could imagine it feeling like that if you're seeing the roads like that. Because I remember exactly where I was. I used to work in Oak Cliff. I lived in Arlington. I was driving in. I heard it on K104. You know what I mean? They were fucking talking about the first one. And then we got there, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? And then as I got there and sat down and we watched the TV in the shop, that's when the second plane hit. That shit was fucking weird, man. Yeah. The whole vibe, everything. And yeah, it's really, I think it's for a lot of people, especially like old enough to be, like, I don't know how old you were in 2001.
I remember the day I was young. I was in fucking school, like second grade maybe.
Yeah. I can't honestly tell you what I did the day before or the day after, but I pretty much pretty vividly remember everything that day.
Yeah.
You know, where I was, what time, how it felt. I was going to Eastfield Community College at the time. Even when I went to college that day, it was like, we don't think we're – honestly, I think that was the day that I didn't go to college, and then I started skipping college to go skateboarding downtown.
Man.
So it was like the end of that. But
I mean, even down here in Waxahachie, we
we
got taken out of school.
It stopped the world.
School stopped.
Yeah.
All the parents came and picked us up.
And I take it. I mean, I think that it seems sad that a lot of people are not. You know, I think that people that were too young to remember whatever, but everybody that's old enough to remember should remember how that made them feel. You know, and I've over the years being in New York so much, I've got friends that are EMTs. I got friends that are firemen out there. I've got friends that lost friends. I got people that actually lost their family that day. It's a tragedy. You know, it's the biggest tragedy that happened
in our lifetime.
Lifetime, you know, and it's I feel like there's lessons to be learned in every tragedy. There's lessons to be learned of all the history, and you know, I don't want to get off on a negative tangent about cancel culture and all that stuff and any of that, but you know, remembering what happened before is a very crucial part of a society. You know, and all this cancel culture, trying to cancel things and forget what got us here. You know, because all the bad things that happened are the reason for the change that got us to where we are now.
Yeah.
You know, and so if you know, those who, you know, there's all a million memes and a million quotes and a million famous sayings, you know, but those who forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
You know, simple as that. You know, and that's why, you know, the big motto is never forget. You know, never forget. They said it about the Alamo from hundreds of years ago, you know, and it's just like, remember, because you're not, you know, you need to remember what got you in that got you to a good place. You need to remember what got you to a bad place. You need to remember, you know, and the new society of trying to control the narrative and the new society of trying to reshape the past. You can't change the past.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, and you shouldn't, and we should teach it, and we should remember it, and we should, you know, always strive to be better.
Yeah.
You know, but that's not what's going on right now.
Yeah, because
what's going on right now is not a strive to be better.
Exactly.
Not at all.
If you try to change, like when I grew up in school and you hear people talk about the things that the white man did over the years, it's like, you're like, fuck, man, like that's horrible. But it's like, you got to know those things took place, and you got to know these people took place, and you got to know that they thought what they were doing was right to understand, you know, where they were
or even
wrong.
if they were wrong.
Yeah.
You gotta know what they did was wrong, or know why they did it, or know, you know, whatever the case is.
There's just I don't know, man. Like I'm glad that I'm not in school anymore, and I kind of hate the fact that I have kids in school still. But like, where do you, like, if you are the people trying to teach anything, like, where do you start? There's just so much shit.
Yeah.
Now, there's so much shit that I went to school in the '90s, and I feel like I didn't learn shit. You know what I mean? And I graduated.
Well, I mean, I didn't pay attention for nothing at school, so whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, I know what you're saying, man. It's just having the motorcycle industry is like this small pocket of society is kind of nice, because it doesn't feel like it's been attacked yet by all that shit in the world. And it, you know, I dig it. I like it. I feel like I don't have to go to work, and, you know, if Zach's here, I could touch him on the shoulder and say, hey, thanks for being here today. And I'm not thinking I'm trying to get butt sex or something in the back. You know what I mean?
See how big that taint is.
Yeah. Like three knuckles.
I mean, the one thing I'll say, man, is to anybody that's, you know, that's had any kind of controversy with any sort of negative internet or canceling or anything like that, like, it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real, and it doesn't really, really, really matter. If someone is not your friend now because of something that's on the internet, then they weren't your friend before anyway. So it doesn't.
That's a good point.
It doesn't matter. You know. So I've been through my fair share of bullshit with the internet and ups and downs and this and that and whatever with TV, and all my friends are my friends. The
Yeah.
people that aren't my friends anymore,
They never were.
they weren't.
It makes
So-
sense, man. But
Don't sweat it. And I told and you were talking earlier about the internet and things and how real this is. And the thing I told everybody at my shop, I was like, don't worry about it. All that shit that's going on the internet, it ain't real. It's on the internet. It's just on the air. Whoever wants to catch it can catch it. And those people that hate us on the internet, they were never coming to the tattoo shop anyway. Like people going, fuck you, I'm never coming to your tattoo shop. I'm like, you never came before. What difference is it gonna make? Yeah, okay. Ooh, you're not coming?
yeah,
Ooh, no. Oh no. This guy that was never coming before is still never coming. Oh man. So I mean, I was just like, don't worry about it.
yeah.
And I was right. It was no big deal. It just
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically, if you get canceled, you're basically canceled on the internet. You're not, nothing's going to happen to you in real life, really.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Hopefully.
Hey, can't live forever.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate you doing this, dude.
Yeah, man. Hope we didn't get too down in the dumps there, but
No,
I
it's
feel like that's good.
It's
I appreciate you
It's
guys.
conversations about everything, man. Like if we just talked about, hey, so what's your favorite paint scheme? Like, I'd be bored. You know what I mean? So, I appreciate you coming through.
Well, you got a killer place over here. I really appreciate you having me, man.
Dude, I'm stoked for the Yellow Rose Canyon, man.
Yeah,
I think
man.
That, that's going to be a big thing for the United States and motorcycles, to be honest with you. Because Yellow Rose Canyon, you're pretty much 1,000 miles from everywhere.
Dude,
So,
it's a real good time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just some bullshit hipster or whatever. It's like, get out there, camp.
this is hipster.
Hey,
This
now
is
this is the
hipster.
real shit, dude. It's old school, dude. What does it say on here? Since when?
3 days ago.
Ah.
Over 3 days rude.
Yeah, man. Yeah, get out, ride your motorcycle, camp, hang
Yeah.
out, have good times, good people, good times. Anybody,
Yeah.
everybody's welcome.
Just come.
What is it, October
October
2nd?
2nd and 3rd.
Yeah.
We're having a pre-party on Friday night for the people that are, bringing their bikes out to set up. People
What
that are coming from
it's
far.
going to be at the spot?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, we've got great music lined up. We've got
We're going to do the slip and slide again, or is that a pain in the ass?
No, we got it set up yesterday. It was fucking killer.
We had Joe
It's
Kidd
like 200
sliding down that
fucking-
motherfucker.
Oh, we fixed it.
Okay.
So now, it all is troughed out, so you stay in it.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
faster, and then we put at the end where there's like a 3-foot drop and then the pool. So, and you sit on inner tubes and just
Fuck.
rocket down that thing.
Yeah.
That's great.
Hell yeah. I had a great time when I was out there, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that place grows and evolves and becomes a staple in the motorcycle industry like
Yeah, man.
so many other places have become. So
Well, can't wait.
cool.